necessarily on third and long or
Sure.
third and short and know where one guy's at. But he's done a good job of spreading the ball around, and now instead of having one go-to guy, they have three guys that they can go to.
I was going to say, when we say they don't have one go-to guy, it almost sounds like a negative or an insult, but in a way it can be a bit of a positive, knowing that you got three guys you can get the football to and three guys you trust on any kind of scenario.
Well, everything you just said is true, but from a defensive standpoint, there ain't one guy you're going to try to take away.
You're right.
And thus, if you don't take one guy away, you're not taking any guys away. And so that's why you're seeing the ball spread around so well.
All right. Well, we're going to see it spread around again today. The Mustangs, again, they take on Dakota Wesleyan University. It's Week 9 of the Great Plains Athletic Conference football season. The Mustangs are back at home for the first time since homecoming 3 weeks ago when they beat Hastings 70-17. They've since beat Jamestown and Mount Marty. Other games around the conference here on our Drilling Pharmacy pregame report before we get a word in from Coach Ryan. Up in Orange City, 4th-ranked Northwestern, they host Briar Cliff today. In Yankton, South Dakota, the Mount Marty Lancers host the Doane Tigers. And over in Fremont, 14th-ranked Midland will have a strong test as they host the Concordia Bulldogs. And up in Sioux Center, it is homecoming for the Dordt Defenders, who host the Jimmies of the University of Jamestown. Hastings has a bye this week. Let's get a break in when we come back on our Drilling Pharmacy pregame report. Steve Ryan, head football coach at Morningside University, will join us, talk a little bit about last week and how the Mustangs are getting prepared for Dakota Wesleyan. That's coming up after this 2-minute break. You're listening to Mustang Football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City.
Brianna Ross, Samantha Snyder, Kelly Stevens, Beth Telfer, and Danielle Thompson. Mustang Dance Team, coached by Byron Baker.
We welcome you back to our Drilling Pharmacy pregame report here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS. I'm Daniel Versteg, and we're pleased to be joined by the Hall of Fame head football coach at Morningside University. That is Coach Steve Ryan. The Mustangs are getting to enjoy some home cooking this week. The Mustangs take on Dakota Wesleyan, who sits in last place in the conference at 1-8 overall, 1-7 in GPAC play. But the Mustangs are coming off a 2-week road trip that saw them beat Mount Marty 77-0 last week. And Coach, you're coming off such a big win, shutout, put up 77 points, all those things like that. We got a nice kind of glimpse of the future, I guess, with being able to see your second and third string guys throughout pretty much the entire second half. How beneficial is that from a coaching perspective to be able to see, what Luke Johansson has throwing the football, or a Cooper King at linebacker, just a couple of examples of guys who got in and were able to play such quality reps last week.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's incredibly valuable. It isn't, quite pressure, but, for a quarterback like Luke to come in and start the second half and basically have us tell him, hey, we're still going to run our offense. We want to be able to see what you can do. That's powerful in terms of giving him fast reps, fast game time situations. And there's a number of those guys out in that field. Logan Maycumber, got his first start. And I think, Lennox Brown and Michael Payne, a lot of those guys got a lot of significant minutes on Saturday.
You guys, you guys have gotten the lead and we're just cruising from there. Kind of similar to your first half against Jamestown, similar to your first half against Hastings. What do you do then after, 3 kind of weeks of just strong starts and then the second half is broken wide open for you already? What do you have to do to keep the competitive juices flowing and keep the guys really, locked in come the second half or maybe come that week of practice?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it has to be addressed. And we started behind in 3 of the 4 games to start the season, and we just really started to address how we prepare for a game, how we come out of the gate, how to start. And we've been able to start fast for the last 3 games, and I think when we start fast, it puts a lot of pressure on another team, and so I think it's imperative that our guys can do that. Obviously, as you go through a regular season, you want to win every game, and you want to go through as many situations as you can to win them. That's a hard situation to create or to want, because the main thing is you want to win. But as you go through it, you want to experience different situations so your guys are prepared and develop. And so, yeah, I mean, hopefully that's something they learn those first 4 weeks, is start fast.
Right, absolutely, and that's something they've been able to use the last few weeks. We hope we see it again today. Dakota Wesleyan is the opponent at home. I'll say their record, they're 1-8, Coach, but man, it feels like that's just not telling the whole story with the fact that 5 of their losses came by 10 points or fewer this year. When you guys are talking about a team like this to your players as a coaching staff, things like that, you just kind of have to throw the record out the window because they've just kind of been in a lot of those ball games, and that record could be drastically different if they go, different ways.
Yeah, the first thing I'm going to tell you, and I'm being 100% honest with you, Daniel, I did not know their record till you told me their record. And so that tells you we've never even brought up the record. I wonder how much our guys know the record. The idea is to show them, hey, this is what they do. Here's what the things they do really well. Here are the things that we as a football team need to work on so that we can win this game. And we've just kind of really stayed focused on that. How are we going to improve? What do we got to do to win the ball game? I think one of the things we constantly remind our guys is records really don't matter when teams play us. I mean, they want to beat us. And, our guys, they have a goal. They want to win the conference championship. They want to win a national championship or make a deep run. Whatever it is, those are lofty and those are great goals. For the teams we have left on our schedule, they don't have any of those goals. They can't have those goals anymore. So what's your goal? Well, we want to be able to say we knocked off the #1 team in the country, and that's a grand goal in and of itself. And so you have competing visions, you have competing goals. The key is that you're prepared when you go play on Saturday.
Well, we know one thing: you always keep you and your coaching staff always keep the guys prepared, and we'll kind of dive into a little bit of that with Coach Steve Ryan, head coach of Morningside Football. As you've prepared for this team, what's kind of the game plan for the Tigers offensively? What do they like to do to move the football downfield against opposing defenses? Yeah,
I think some things that Dakota Wesleyan does a really good job of is they change up formations. They do some really creative motions and shifts in terms of fly motions and different things to try to create leverage and advantages on the edge. And one of the things that allows them to do that is, they've got the #1 running back in the conference statistically right now. And so they like to be able to run the ball with that. And then with all what I would call flash that goes on around it, they're going to try to create a big play.
shifts and motions. That sounds a lot like your offense, Coach. Has it been kind of a I guess easy transition to kind of prepare for this offense, or do they do different kind of shifts and motions than you guys do?
I think they're going to do some that are different, and they're going to do some that our guys have never seen. So it's when you deal with things like that, you need to be able to understand what are my rules, what are my basic assignments, when do I need to be able to go into my basics, and when do I need to be able to attack tendencies.
You mentioned that running back, and yeah, his numbers just stand out to you. He's almost got 1,000 yards on the year. He's averaging 100 a contest. What do they do when they get him the ball that makes him so effective, makes him so dangerous, and somebody you have to really be paying attention to?
Well, I mean, they they just do a good job of just getting him the ball a lot, and kind of like I said, they have a very basic run system, but there's just a lot of smoke and mirrors around to disguise it. So when you're running your basic run system, you become pretty good at it, and hopefully you can create some illusion with it.
When it comes to the illusion and the shifts and all the distracting things that they try and do to distract you guys, what does that do for them when it comes to their passing attack? Maybe how do you have to be prepared for that when they decide to throw the ball on you?
Yeah, you've got to make sure you're sound in terms of your assignments. So I mean, on every play, every defensive player has a run assignment and they have a pass assignment. And if you're a pass-first football player, you need to make sure you stay true to that.
We're chatting with Steve Ryan. He's the head football coach at Morningside University. On our pregame coverage, they take on Dakota Wesleyan today. I also noticed, I mean, they don't give up a whole lot of sacks. Their offensive line has some size as well. What are kind of the characteristics of a line like this maybe that allows them to be able to protect well, that allows them to be able to give their skill guys time to move around back there?
Well, I think they do a good job of just coaching their guys up and making sure their eyes are right and in the right spot. So they just don't have guys running free very often, and I think that's what they do a good job of is just making sure they're blocking their guys. A lot of times, guys that get sacks are the guys that people forget to block, and so I think they do a good job with that.
Well, absolutely. Defensively, Coach, this defense, again, some of the numbers probably aren't very pretty, but obviously you can find some things that that you need to be prepared for. What are the things you've been focusing on when it comes to the Dakota Wesleyan defense that you have to say, hey, we got to be ready for this?
Well, I think what Dakota Wesleyan does a good job of is they can create pressure on the quarterback, and they want to create turnovers, and they want to try to make a big play, and they do things to give themselves opportunities to make big plays. And we've turned the ball over against them many times in the past, more than I like, and so sometimes it makes we just get off to a slow start. So we just got to have our eyes right, be able to see what they're trying to do to create pressure, deal with that pressure, and make good decisions with the football.
I'm sure when it comes to turnovers, you'll be having your eyes kind of focused on that number 3, their safety, Adam DeYoung, 6 interceptions on the year. What do you have to do to minimize a safety like him, his impact on your passing attack today?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do to minimize a guy. I mean, they can do whatever they want in terms of where they play him. But the main thing is you have to be aware of where he is, and you have to make good decisions with the ball when you're around him. So I think from what I saw, I think Adam probably does a great job of preparing himself for the game, and then he just jumps routes when he's got a real good idea what's coming, and he can make it happen. And he's made some phenomenal plays for him this year.
What do you think is going to be the key to being able to exploit their weakness? Maybe when it comes to the fact they bring a lot of pressure, what can you do to be able to exploit that and make sure you guys can get large chunk plays off of that?
Yeah, I mean, anytime people bring pressure, there's a reason why people don't bring pressure all the time. Well, you're bringing pressure by bringing more guys into the pass rush or more guys in to stop the run. What that means is once you get beyond those guys, there's more opportunity for big plays. And so we just got to take care of the football. When they're bringing passes, make sure we complete passes. When they're bringing pressure on the run, try to make sure we're picking it up and breaking through the line, because once you get past that point, there's more opportunities for big plays.
One of the things we've mentioned here, and we'll mention it again, is a strong start, fast start. You guys are back at home. You don't have to get on a bus this week. That's got to feel good. What do you have to see from your guys right out of the get-go that suggests you don't have that slow start you've had historically against Dakota Wesleyan? You can play strong football, and you can do it in front of your home fans.
Yeah. When offense is on the field, we need to put the ball in the end zone. When the defense is on the field, right out of the gate, we need to keep them out of the end zone and try to limit their ability to drive the ball down the field. Really that sounds basic, but that's kind of it. Hey, you've got the ball. You want to make a fast start, go put it in the end zone.
I like the sound of that, Coach. It sounds like a winning formula. It sounds like a great contest. We always appreciate your time, and best of luck to your guys out there today.
All right. Thanks, Daniel.
Absolutely. That's Steve Ryan, head football coach of Morningside University, on our Drilling Pharmacy pregame report as the Mustangs, ranked #1 in the country, get set to defend their home field, taking on the Tigers of Dakota Wesleyan in Great Plains Athletic Conference action. We'll have all the action for you. Kickoff comes your way in just a couple of minutes from Elwood Olson Stadium. You're listening to Mustang Football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City for our Drilling Pharmacy pregame reports. Our thanks, as always, to Coach Steve Ryan for joining us on our pregame coverage. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. The Mustangs, ranked #1 in America, get set to host the Dakota Wesleyan Tigers, ranked 1-8 overall, 1-7 in GPAC play. The Mustangs won the toss. They elected to defer their choice. They'll be kicking off the start the contest. Dakota Wesleyan's offense will come out first, and we talked a lot about that offense with Coach Ryan, about the running game they have, and about the shifts and motions we'll see. We'll see if the Tigers decide to break that out here right away at the start of the contest, or whether they'll wait to get that going. They'll send their running back, Jamin Aaron, a redshirt sophomore, back to return this kick from Ben Steffens. Bob, I don't know about you, but it just feels good to be back home, sitting up here in the press box at Elwood Olson Stadium and enjoying one of the best fan bases in NAIA football once again.
Well, there's not a better NAIA environment than a Morningside football game, so you're right, it's good to be home.
It is very good to be home after a long trip to Jamestown, after the contest at Mount Marty. It was so stinking hot in Yankton. It's good to be back here in Sioux City. Again, the Mustangs will be kicking off. They'll be attacking from right to left as we view it. Sporting a pretty traditional look. The maroon jerseys, white pants, of course, the maroon helmet. Dakota Wesleyan in all whites with gray numbers and letters, and they are trimmed in blue. Ready to get this one started. It is week 9 of the college football season, the Great Plains Athletic Conference season. We're starting to kind of get a good picture of who is to make the playoffs and who will not make the playoffs. Of course, Morningside is in the running for their 12th consecutive GPAC title. Northwestern and Midland are second in the conference. They'll play each other next week, and that's going to go a long way to potentially seeing how many GPAC teams make the NAIA Football Championship Series. Want to remind you, you're listening to Mustang Football here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City, the iHeartRadio app, and 620KMNS.com. Alongside Bob Goodvin, Daniel Versteg with you, Ben Steffens, teased up at the 35. We are underway. It's a high right-footed end-over-end kick, and that one bounces 2 yards deep in the end zone for a touchback. Dakota Wesleyan will get it out at its own 25-yard line. Tigers will be led by a redshirt freshman quarterback in Austin Lee. 6'0", 196-pound redshirt freshman from San Antonio, Texas. On a 1,037 yards passing, 5 passing touchdowns for Austin Lee. Keel Nelson, the top receiver, he's caught 5 touchdown passes this year. Jamin Aaron has run in 8 touchdowns on the ground this season. He leads the Great Plains Athletic Conference in rushing yards at 953. Tigers going from left to right. They'll line up on the right hash to start things off with 1st and 10 from their own 25-yard line. As Lee leads the Tigers out of the gun, he motions a tight end to the right side of the formation. Takes the snap, play action, throws a quick dump off into the flats, and what a great start for Jacob Oxos, who gets outside the left numbers across the 30 and keeps inching his way forward across the 30 to the 33-yard line. It's a quick pickup of 8 to set up 2nd and 2.
Well, it's actually a good play by the Morningside safety because it looked like that was going to be a bigger play than it ended up being.
So 2nd down and 2 for Dakota Wesleyan. That's the thing about Morningside defensively is they just close so well. And you'll notice also the Mustangs sporting a backup corner. They've got Logan Maycumber out there. John Andreessen is not suited for today. 2nd down and 2 for the Tigers from their own 33-yard line. They'll motion Aaron out of the backfield. Empty look as Lee drops to throw. 4-man Mustang rush. Steps up in the pocket. Throws over the middle. The pass is picked off. Josh Miller takes it out to the 40, 35. Right seam to the 30. And Josh Miller has his first interception of the season. And the Mustangs take over with a turnover on just the 2nd Dakota Wesleyan play from scrimmage.
Well, that's a good play by Josh Miller. He's the Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker, and he just gets depth and he sits in the middle of the field. And Lee, the quarterback, just didn't see him. And what he really missed was a pre-snap RPO. He had the out to the boundary. I mean, if he throws the out and they complete it, he could have picked up 10, 15 yards, but he just missed it.
Well, the Mustangs take advantage of it. 2nd play, turnover, and now Morningside takes over 1st and 10 from the DWU 30-yard line. Out of the gun is Joe Dolenchek. He motions Josh Simmons to the left side of the formation. Play action fake, looks into the flats, throws over to the left sideline. Zach Norton's there inside the 5, and he gets into the end zone easily for a Mustang touchdown. 30-yard pitch and catch. Joe Dolenchek with his 32nd touchdown pass of the year puts Morningside up 6-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Well, that's just a great route right there. He ran a post corner, and he sold the post well enough that he got the safety's hips turned, and as soon as the safety turned his hips, he just sunk his hips and come out of the cut, and he was wide open, and that's too easy, Daniel.
It's way too easy. One play, all they need. Zach Norton wide open. In 59 seconds, the Mustangs have forced a turnover. They've scored a touchdown, and now Chase Carter tags on the point after try. 7-0. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan with under a minute gone in quarter number 1. We'll take a 30-second break, come back with more Mustang football after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. Or we will keep it here. The Mustangs lead Dakota Wesleyan 7-0 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. As Morningside, just one play. Again, Bob, this is just a great start for the Mustangs. It's something we didn't see in the first 4 weeks or so, but they've showed it the last few weeks that they've been able to get quick starts, and they've got another one, I think, on tap today.
Well, I think what you saw right there is what we talked about in the pregame, and that is they understand what coverage that Dakota Wesleyan's running, and by running the post route, they knew the safety had to have post responsibility, and then they just ran a double route off of it and messed with his rules.
Ben Steffens boots this one away. It's a high right-footed end-over-end kick out of the end zone for a touchback. Dakota Wesleyan starts at the 25-yard line. Okay, Bob, I guess the million-dollar question that Dakota Wesleyan's trying to figure out on the sideline, how do you move past a drive like that, 2nd play interception? How do you move past it to try and get something going now offensively?
Well, you just have to play in what's called the now. I mean, you don't worry about the last play, and you don't worry about the next play. You just play in the now. And They just got to flush it and move on.
All right. We'll see if they can do that. Austin Lee now with 8 interceptions on the season as he continues out there at quarterback. Might actually be Keel Nelson. Looks like number 0's in the gun for the Tigers. He's got split backs in the gun, takes the snap, keeps it around the left side. It is Keel Nelson who hands on to the football, gets back to the line of scrimmage for no gain. A bit of a wildcat quarterback look with Keel Nelson. Picks up nothing, sets up 2nd and 10, and now Austin Lee, the true quarterback, is back in.
Yeah, they tried to run power read off the wildcat look, and he probably should have handed the ball off, because if he hands the ball off, they do stay ahead of the chains and get positive yards.
So 2nd down and 10 now for Dakota Wesleyan. They bring their true quarterback in there in Austin Lee. Keel Nelson is lined up in the slot on the right side. 2 receivers left. Down to the pistol is Lee. Now he motions his back up, and Nelson over to the left side. Bring a receiver to the right side now, and Preston Nedved. Play action, dropping a throw. Lee passes over the top and had Nelson breaking over the middle, but just overthrew him a touch. Incomplete. Sets up 3rd and 10.
Well, they run a shift, and then they run a motion off the shift, and the whole point of that is try to get leverage or try to get the defensive eyes in the wrong spot, and I do think they caught Boyd looking in the backfield a little bit, because had Lee thrown that ball with a little bit more air under it, it might have been a big play.
Yeah, Nelson had some separation past Boyd, and just a little bit too much. Mustang fans get some noise behind them on 3rd and 10. Dakota Wesleyan from their own 25. They motion Aaron to the left side of the formation. Dropping a throw is Lee, throws over the middle to Aaron and overthrows him as well. It's an incomplete pass. The Tigers do not move the football. It'll be 4th and 10, and they're forced to punt it away.
Well, again, I think right there, Lee recognized the coverage. He recognized that it was man, and then he recognized the matchup that he had with number 39, the Morningside linebacker, Pingle, on coverage. And, again, the Dakota Wesleyan had a little bit of space. He just needs to put a little bit more air underneath the ball. And
yeah, they've had a couple of plays work, but again, the throws have not been there. Mustangs don't bring as much pressure on this punt. It's a high right-footed boot from Dakota Wesleyan's kicker as Michael Payne fair catches it at the 42-yard line. Morningside will start there. That punt from Victor Kinnish. And now Morningside will start a true drive on their end of the field at the 42-yard line. We'll see what they come out with here, although we didn't get to see a whole lot of them on their last drive. Just a one-play, 30-yard touchdown pass from Joe Dolencheck to Zach Norton, his first of what he needed. He needed 5 coming into today to break the all-time NAIA and program career passing touchdown record held by Trent Solzma. Dolencheck, a play-action fake, drops the throw, passes over the middle. He's got Johnson across the 30, left seam 20, left numbers 10, 5 to the pylon, and 2 plays, 2 touchdowns. Morningside leads 13-0 on Dakota Wesleyan as this one goes for 58 yards to Austin Johnson.
2 plays, 2 wide open guys for touchdowns. I mean, that's just, I'm telling you, schematically, Morningside is so good.
It is 13-0 Mustangs on the People's Bank scoreboard. 12:49 left in the first quarter. 2 plays, two easy plays for the Mustangs. 2 touchdowns combining for 88 yards here in the first couple of plays. Chase Carter, the human point after machine, boots it through, and that is now 300 career point afters made for Chase Carter in a Mustang uniform. 14-0, Mustangs on top, 12:49 to play in the first quarter. We'll take a 30-second break. Back with more Mustang football after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium alongside Bob Goodvin. I'm Daniel Verstag. 2 offensive plays from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns for the Mustangs, who have cruised to a 14-0 lead, 12:49 remaining in the first quarter here on our People's Bank scoreboard. Ben Steffens with a high right-footed end-over-end kick, and Dakota Wesleyan lets it bounce into the end zone for a touchback. Tigers will start at their own 25-yard line. I mean, we see it on such a regular basis, Bob, but how impressive is a start like this for Morningside? An interception and a 3-and-out, and then 2 plays and 2 touchdowns offensively.
Well, it's demoralizing if you're the other team. I mean, that's, Dakota Wesleyan's had a chance at a couple big plays and couldn't execute, and Morningside runs 2 plays for 2 big touchdown plays.
Right.
So.
Well, here come the Tigers trying to get something going. Austin Lee in the gun. He motions a tight end and a back into the backfield. Handoff up the middle. It's Jamin Aaron, conference's leading rusher. Doesn't pick up anything there. He gets back to the line of scrimmage for no gain. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, Morningside's defensive scheme, it just makes it all but impossible to run the ball between the tackles. And that's just because they do different things with their defensive front that normal defenses don't do. And, they just force you to bounce the ball outside, and now you're bouncing the ball outside to the linebackers. And, it's very difficult to run the ball on Morningside.
2nd and 10 for the Tigers. 2 receivers on either side of Austin Lee in the gun. He motions Aaron out of the backfield, throws over to the left numbers, and had a man open in Cole Holden, but just threw it wide of him at the 32-yard line and incomplete. It's now 3rd and 10. Well, that's one of those, that's probably the 3rd pass play we've seen here, Bob, where they've had a guy marginally open and just can't get the ball to him.
Well, that last play, he wasn't marginally open. He was wide open.
Open, yeah.
They just ran a little hitch route, and Morningside's just giving cushion on 2nd and long, and it's just one of those plays that offensively you just have to make and have to execute.
Well, it's now 3rd and 10. They have to execute here to keep their offense on the field. The Mustangs only bring 3 down linebackers, as they're now in nickel coverage with 3 safeties. Dropping to throw, Austin Lee. He steps up in the pocket, has some time, runs to his left toward the boundary, throws down the sideline, and throws wide of everybody and incomplete. Great job by Lee to keep the play going for at least a little while, but he couldn't end up converting. It's 4th and 10, and the Tigers will punt once again.
Yeah, that's a play where Lee has to stay in the pocket. I mean, Morningside's only bringing 3, and there was no pressure on him, and he just flushed himself out of the pocket. And offensively, you cannot do that. You have to stay in the pocket as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, you see quarterbacks, usually inexperienced quarterbacks, get the happy feet, and that's what gets them in trouble. Victor Kinnish, high right-footed wobbling kick. That one looked like it died a little bit with some of the spin. It bounces out of bounds at the Mustang 47-yard line, the 46. And Morningside will see if they can go 3 plays and 3 touchdowns here in the first 3 minutes and change of this quarter. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 14-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 11:53 left in the first quarter. The Mustangs on just 2 plays offensively have scored 2 touchdowns. A 58-yard touchdown pass to Austin Johnson and a 30-yard strike to Zach Norton. Joe Dolenchek empties the backfield on 1st and 10 from his own 46-yard line. 3 receivers left and 2 right. Lined up on the right hash mark. Dolenchek drops to throw on a 4-man rush. Throws toward the left seam. It got deflected away. Victor Kinnish got a lot of hand on that football as the pass fell short of Zach Norton, and it falls to the turf incomplete to set up 2nd and 10.
He really needed to get 2 hands on that football and intercept it, because, I mean, that's a ball that's got to get caught by the defensive player. I mean, if you're going to have any chance of beating Morningside, you just have to make plays when plays are there to be made, and right there's one of them.
And look at here, Bob. They brought Zach Norton, Josh Simmons, and Austin Johnson off the field. Lennox Brown, Michael Payne are taking over as receivers out of the pistol. Dolenchek, handoff right side. Ryan Cole gets a seam up the right numbers across midfield, and he's into Tiger territory at the 47-yard line. That's a pickup of 7. It's now 3rd and 3.
Well, I was watching the receivers down here. They motioned Payne to a stack set, and they were going to run the bubble off it, so it was an RPO run bubble type stuff, and I was just watching the receivers. They were running bubble, and it was there.
Here's Cole on 3rd and 3, breaks through the hole and has a lot of green across the 30, 25-20, left numbers, gets a block from Payne to the 5, and all the way into the end zone goes Ryan Cole for a Mustang touchdown. 47-yard touchdown run. It's the longest run of the year for Ryan Cole, and it puts Morningside up 20-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Well, the best part of that run was the last 5 yards where he just kind of hesitated a little bit and let his receiver catch up with him and make a little bit of a block, and then he cut it back in off the block to score. So, I mean, that's good awareness of where you're at on the field and good vision.
Yeah, that's a great downfield block as well by Michael Payne. Ryan Cole now 15 rushing touchdowns on the year. Chase Carter trying to tack on career point after try, number 301, and off the hold of Justin McElligott, he does just that. Top-ranked Morningside, again, it's all over Dakota Wesleyan to start the contest. 21-0 Mustangs, 11:13 left in the first quarter. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City.
It's been Cybercon's pleasure to serve Siouxland's homes and businesses with telephone, internet, and high-speed data networking solutions for nearly 20 years.
And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. 11:13 remains in quarter number one. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 21-0, and the Mustangs slacked a little bit offensively in the last drive. It took them 3 plays to get to the end zone instead of 1 on their last 2 drives. It was a 47-yard touchdown run for Ryan Cole. The Mustangs lead by 3 possessions. Ben Steffens, right-footed end-over-end kick, and the Tigers take it out with Jamin Aaron at the 2-yard line. To the left, numbers 15-20, breaks a tackle. Can he get across the 20? He does, just to the 21-yard line. Does not get to the 25, so by all intents and purposes, probably wasn't all that valuable for the return, but maybe trying to make something happen. Tigers will start at their own 21-yard line.
Well, they're lucky they didn't get a penalty for pushing the back, because there was a blatant push in the back on the 20-yard line.
Well, they get away with it. Tigers will bring the folks out back offensively with 2 3-and-outs and an interception to their name to this point. 1st and 10 for Dakota Wesleyan at their own 21-yard line. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Austin Lee in the gun. He takes the snap, immediately runs right, dumps it off to his running back, Jamin Aaron, into the flats, takes it right, numbers to the 25. Pushed out of bounds by Jalen Portis right at the 25. Let's pick up a 4 on this little screen dump off to Aaron. Sets up 2nd and 6.
Well, what you see there is the speed of the 2 linebackers from Morningside. That play looked like it was going to pick up 10, 15 yards, but just the speed of Miller coming from the middle and the outside linebacker coming from the outside, just the speed of it cut it down to a 4-yard gain.
2nd down and 6 for the Tigers from their own 25-yard line. It's Keel Nelson, the Wildcat quarterback, in there. Hands off around the right side and getting some positive yardage. Jamin Aaron, he's across the 30 to the 32. That's 7 yards, and the Tigers have their first down of the day.
Yeah, just simple little outside zone play. Then, Morningside didn't do a real good job of setting the edge right there.
So the Tigers keep their offense onto the field. They got another fresh set of downs. 21-0 Morningside on top. 10-12 remaining in the first quarter on the People's Bank scoreboard. Tigers bring out their true quarterback once again in Austin Lee. He's out of the pistol. 3 receivers left, tight end right. Now they motion the tight end left side of the formation. And the running back off the left hip of Lee. Now he motions Keel Nelson right, back to left. There's all that motion Coach Ryan was talking about. Handoff Jamin Aaron straight up the middle. Some positive yards. Good fight for Aaron. He gets 3 to the 35. That'll set up 2nd and 7.
Well, you're exactly right. They got 3 yards, but the big thing is they just stay ahead of the chains. And 2nd and 7's better than 2nd and 10. I mean, right. I know that sounds dumb, but it really is.
And that's the philosophy you have to take as an offense on first down. You got to stay within those orange sticks out there. And the Tigers have done that on this drive at least. It's 2nd and 7 for Dakota Wesleyan from their own 35-yard line. 2 receivers either side of the formation. Now receiver motions to the left side to put 3 over there. As Lee, play-action pass, throws behind Keel Nelson, who hit off his hands and incomplete on the quick route over the middle. That one falls to the turf. It's 3rd and 7.
Well, that's another one of those plays that you just have to make. They ran a little glance route, an RPO off the run, and slant route by the receiver, and he was open. I mean, he put the ball in his hands. Yes, it was a little bit behind him, but he got both hands on the ball, and it's just a play you got to make.
Now Austin Lee now 1 for 8 passing the football here today. It's 3rd down and 7 for the Tigers, or 2 for 8, I should say. 3 receivers left and 1 right of Austin Lee in the gun. He takes the belt high snap, 3-step drop, passes over the middle. That ball is into the chest of Drew Bessie, who couldn't haul it in. It falls to the turf, incomplete. It will be 4th down and 7 following the incomplete pass after Bessie jumped the route. It's now 4th and 7.
Well, whenever you throw the ball vertically, the number one read is always the safety and the play side safety, and he threw it right to his read, and that's kind of an ill-advised throw.
Yeah, especially into a Morningside safety's chest, like Drew Bessie. I mean, that's a guy who makes those plays more often than not. And now Victor Kinnish is out to kick this one away for the 3rd time today. On 4th and 7 from their own 35. Kinnish standing at his 20. The Mustangs bring the house, but Kinnish gets a high right-footed wobbling kick away. Michael Payne camps under it and fair catches it at about his own 31-yard line. So the Mustangs will take over on their 4th drive offensively. 9 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Top-ranked Morningside 21-0 leading Dakota Wesleyan on our People's Bank scoreboard. But the Tigers are able to move the football on their last drive there. See what Morningside does here. Again, they slacked horribly on their last drive, only scoring in 3 plays instead of 1 on their first 2 plays. And now the Mustangs have a bit of a longer field in front of them. 1st and 10 from their own 31-yard line. Dalenchek motions Austin Johnson out of the backfield to the left side as the lone receiver. Dalenchek throws the screen out there. Johnson breaks the first tackle, gets across the 35-40, sheds more across midfield, 45-40 into Tiger territory. And Austin Johnson on the screen gets run out of bounds at the 33 of Dakota Wesleyan. That's a pickup of 36, and the Mustangs have a 1st down.
Well, they just line a receiver in the backfield, motion him out, and run just a hash screen to him. And the guy who makes the plays, the J-back, Seifert, he makes a nice little block on the corner, and then they're just off and running at that point.
2 receivers left, 1 right now for Joe in the gun. Sievert's on the right side of the formation. Tigers do jump but get back. Dalenchek play action fake, stands tall in the pocket, throws left sideline, jump ball for Lennox Brown. And in front of the coverage was Landon Rusink, who bats it away from Brown. Pass falls incomplete at 2nd and 10.
That was good coverage right there. And, what they had is safety over the top and corner underneath the route, and the corner needs to make that play.
Right.
I mean, the ball hit him right in the hands, and he needs to intercept that ball so they can get off the field.
Instead, the Mustangs get another chance. 2nd and 10 from the Tiger 33-yard line. 2 receivers right and 1 left. Dalenchek in the pistol. Motion Sievert. Handoff delayed. Right side, Ryan Cole across the 30. Up the right seam, he gets tripped up across the 25 to the 23. He got exactly 10 yards. It's enough to move the sticks for a Mustang 1st down.
Yeah, it's a play that would be referred to as counter fullback or counter J in Morningside's terminology, and they're just getting yards and chunks right now.
To the Tiger 23. Twins stacked on either side. Dalenchek throws left sideline. Caught by Lennox Brown. Jukes a man across the 15. Breaks a tackle 10 and gets down to the 8-yard line. 15 yards. Sets up 1st and goal. Morningside moving the football so well here on this possession. They've got 1st and goal, 8 yards from scoring their 4th touchdown of the day. Out of the pistol, Dalenchek, handoff, right side, Ryan Cole gets the hole across the 5 and gets tripped into the end zone for another Mustang touchdown. Not even halfway done with quarter number 1. The Mustangs on top of Dakota Wesleyan, 27-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. Morningside moving the ball so well on that drive. Ryan Cole gets rewarded with his 2nd touchdown of the day, 16th of the season. And the Mustangs are all over Dakota Wesleyan, not giving them a chance to even breathe, as Chase Carter will have the right-footed point after try. Jacob Murphy the snap, Justin McGilligan the spot, and Carter's kick is through the uprights and is good. 28-0. Top-ranked Morningside all over Dakota Wesleyan, 7:38 to play in the first quarter. Back in 30 seconds, more Mustang football comes your way after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium here in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 28-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 7:38 remains of the first quarter. Ben Steffens gets the chance to flex his muscle with a right-footed kick. This one's fielded at the 1-yard line and taken out by Jamin Aaron. Middle of the field, 10-15, leaps over the defenders across the 20. He gets brought down short of the 25 at the 22. It's a good gain, and the Tigers will start with first down and 10.
Well, there's just all kinds of hidden things within a Morningside football game, within a good team football game.
Yeah.
And you know, one, Morningside catches punts. They just literally catch every punt. They might fair catch them, but they catch every punt.
Mm-hmm.
And two, when they kick off, they've kicked off 5 times now, and Dakota Wesleyan's never had the ball outside the 25-yard line on 5 kickoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't get any better than that.
No, I mean, this is that's the thing. The field position game is the craziest part about watching a Morningside football game. Austin Lee hands it off up the middle. Looks like Garrett Mondalfa, the backup running back, picked up 3 yards to the 25. It is Mondalfa, the redshirt sophomore from Omaha, sets up 2nd and 7.
Your chances of going 75, 80 yards without a big play against Morningside is slim to none.
Right.
And that's why your special teams become such a big factor. And I mean, it's just amazing what Morningside does on special teams, and we don't give them nearly enough credit or attention.
No, their offense and defense takes all the attention away. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The special teams deserves a lot of it as well. 2nd and 7, handoff up the middle. Jamin Aaron breaks free across the middle, 35-40, 45-50. And Jamin Aaron with a big run. He picks up 25 yards to midfield. And the Tigers have something cooking. It's 1st and 10.
He showed really good balance right there because he got tripped up, after about a 5-yard gain, and he kept his balance. And there's the big play that Dakota Wesleyan needs just to get a little confidence and, if anything else, keep the Morningside offense off the field.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the other part too. Is you can't score if their offense is on the field. 1st and 10 at midfield. Dakota Wesleyan trying to break into Morningside territory for the first time today. Handoff up the middle. Looks like Mandolfo picks up a yard. He does get into Morningside territory. The 49-yard line. It's a yard gain. Sets up 2nd and 9.
When Dakota Wesleyan traded the tight end there, they started on the left side and moved to the right side, and Morningside didn't move their defensive line, so they would have been better off running to the traded tight end because they would have had numbers out there.
That's the thing. It seems like they like to motion into kind of a strong line formation a lot of the time. They do that with some of their wide receivers and their running backs a bit. Now they balance this formation. 2 receivers on either side on 2nd down and 9. They motion the back out of the backfield. Lee throws into the open coverage, and the pass is complete across the 40. Then the ball pops out. It's picked up by Jalen Portis. He takes it back right sideline, 50, 45, 40. Leaps over defender across the 35. He's down to the 31-yard line. We've got a flag back on the play where the tackle was made. For now, the result of the play is a fumble from Jacob Oxos after getting a first down. It's recovered by Jalen Portis to the 31, but we'll see what this is all going to be about.
My guess is it's going to be some type of illegal block after the player picked up the fumble. It's probably going to be a push block in the back.
Well, I wonder if Dakota Wesleyan is wanting to argue that he was down on the play. Of course, you can't review this, and if they go with the play, they said he had fumbled, he had coughed it up, and that would be the 2nd turnover of the day for the Mustangs. 5:25 left in the first quarter. The Mustangs up 28-0. The People's Bank scoreboard. So it's tough to hear that a little bit, but they call a personal foul on Dakota Wesleyan after the fumble. They'll say the fumble stands, and Morningside is going to get another 15 yards on top of the return. So instead of at the 30, they're going to start this one all the way up at the 15-yard line with 1st down and 10. So an even worse break turns into a terrible break for Dakota Wesleyan as the Mustangs will march this one all the way into the red zone.
And to make matters worse, they got tackled on the 30-yard line, so they get to walk off the entire 15 yards.
Exactly. Yeah, it can't even be half the distance.
Right. If it was 1 yard closer, it was on the 29, it wouldn't have been a 15-yard penalty.
But here we go. Morningside is 1st and 10 for the 15 after the fumble. Play action. Dolanchek throws over the middle. And a leaping catch into the end zone for Austin Johnson. The 3rd touchdown strike of the day for Joe Dolanchek. And we still have 5:19 left in the first quarter. The Mustangs are up 34-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
If you want to talk about two guys being on the same page, watch that play right there, because Austin Johnson runs this route where he fakes outside and comes inside, and Dolanchek throws the ball long before Johnson's out of his cut. I mean, he knew exactly where he was going to be.
It's touchdown pass number 164 in the career of Joe Dolanchek. One more ties Trent Solzma. 2 more breaks his program and NAIA career record. Point after try is good for Chase Carter. And with 5:19 left in the first quarter, top-ranked Morningside up 35-0 on Dakota Wesleyan on the People's Bank scoreboard. We'll take a short 30-second break. Back with more Mustang football after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteg. The score, top-ranked Morningside 35, Dakota Wesleyan nothing. Still 5:19 left in the first quarter on our People's Bank scoreboard. Just for reference, the other games around the conference, one is starting the second quarter. One is 3 minutes into the 3 minutes left in the first quarter, 4 minutes left of the first quarter, and another one is starting the second quarter of the contest. We've still got 5:19 left in this first quarter. That's what happens when 5 touchdowns have been scored at this point. 35-0. Morningside on top of Dakota Wesleyan here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Another touchdown pass for Joe Dolanchek, his 3rd of the day, and now the Mustangs try a squibber. Bounce to the 14, and Aaron picks up the bounce at the 3-yard line. Takes out to the left numbers, 15-20, gets a crease across the 25, and the Tigers will start outside the 25-yard line as they get across the 30 to the 33. It'll be first down for Dakota Wesleyan from their own 33. Well, hey, if you're Dakota Wesleyan, Pop, that's a win right there. As we talked about, they had not started outside the 25-yard line. They're going to get at least marginally better field position.
Yeah, that's a good return. I mean, that they field the ball in the right hash and they return it to the wide side of the field. And instead of running totally sideways, he does get vertical and picks up positive yards. And you're exactly right. That's something to build on, hopefully, here for if you're Dakota Wesleyan.
So the Tigers will start 1st and 10 from their own 33-yard line. Austin Lee lines up at the gun, a play-action fake. He keeps over the middle, and Isaac Bauer makes the stop at the 34-yard line. Picks up a yard, and the Tigers will have 2nd down and 9. Coming up at halftime, we're going to take a look at scores around the Great Plains Athletic Conference and break down the action that you may have missed, all coming up at the halftime break. Of course, that's still another 20 minutes of action away. It's 35-0. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan with 4:46 and counting here in quarter number 1 on our People's Bank scoreboard. Tigers now have 2nd down and 9 from their own 34-yard line. It's Austin Lee with a receiver on either side. He motions a tight end left to put one tight end on either side of the formation. Handoff up the middle. Jamin Aaron inches his way forward for another yard to the 35. It'll bring up 3rd down and 8. Mustangs 7-0 on the season, and they're back at home for the first time in 3 weeks. Good to see them back here at Elwood Olson Stadium. And the home cooking's working right now, Bob. 5 touchdowns here in the first 10 minutes of game action.
I don't think it matters where you play the game right now. I mean, yes,
No.
we're at home, and but I think they could do this anywhere right now.
That's right. The Mustangs are cruising. They put up 77 on Mount Marty last week, of course. Austin Lee in the gun, 3rd down and 8. He takes the snap. That's Keel Nelson, Screen pass, right side, caught by Aaron. Up the right numbers, across the 36 to the 37. Ball came out. Our headlines judge rules him down by contact. It's a gain of 2 on the screen to Aaron. It'll be 4th down and 6 for the Tigers, and they are going to be forced to punt it away once again.
Well, again, you see the speed of the Morningside defense. They motion the tailback out and throw a bubble screen to him or a swing screen to him, and Morningside's just too fast for that play. And if the game wasn't 35-0 already, you could make an argument that he was not down. He fumbled that ball.
Well, I appreciate our headlines, Judge, keeping things moving a little bit. The clock keeps moving because of that as well. That's always a beneficial thing in a game like this. As Victor Kinnish lines up to boot this one away for the Tigers, sends a high right-footed wobbler. That one all the way to the sideline. This is not going to be good for Dakota Wesleyan. Our lines judge marks it off where it went out of bounds, at least by his view. And that's at the 45-yard line. Morningside will start at their own 45 with 5 touchdowns already on the day. 3 from Joe Dolenchek as he tries to close in on the all-time NAIA career passing touchdown record. Needs 1 more to tie Trent Solzma and 2 more to break the career NAIA and career program record here at Morningside University. Dolenchek on 1st and 10 of the 45-yard line. Play action fake. He throws toward the left sideline. One-handed try by Austin Johnson. Couldn't haul it in bounds. Pass falls incomplete to bring up 2nd and 10. Joe Dolenchek doesn't miss very often on his passes, and he ends up in that spot there with an incomplete pass. 2nd down and 10 from the 45-yard line. Joe Dolenchek with 3 receivers right and 1 receiver left. He takes a snap, handoff around the left side. It's Ryan Cole up the numbers. He gets outside of the left side, 47-yard line, a pickup of 2. That'll bring up 3rd down and 8. So the Mustangs find themselves in a spot here, Bob, trying to now see if they can convert on 3rd down. We know one thing, the Mustangs are just too good right now that they'll figure out a way to get this done, I think. But 3rd and 8 for Morningside from their own 47-yard line. It's 35-0 in favor of the Mustangs.
See, right now it looks like Dakota Wesleyan's only going to rush 3 guys.
Right.
Here comes the 4th guy. He's going to come.
Here comes 4, now 5. Dolenchek out of the gun, throws left sideline, and Zach Norton gets across the 40, and he's run out of bounds at the 36-yard line. That's a pickup of 19 for the Mustang receiver, and it's a 1st down for Morningside.
Well, the blitz is too slow. They're coming from depth, and they have no chance of getting home by the time Morningside's route has developed, and they just don't have the coverage to back it up.
Empty look for Joe again. 1st and 10 of the Tiger 35. He throws a quick route right side on the hitch. It's caught by Austin Johnson across the 30, in between the seams across the 25 to the 24. He's got 11. It's another 1st down.
Yeah, that's just an easy catch and throw. They get in trips and they run the hitch to number 3 receiver, and I mean, there's no linebacker to be found, and it's just too easy at this point, Daniel.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be this easy.
The objects that you are listening to or watching are better than the expected outcome, I guess. 1st and 10 at the Tiger 24. It's a jet sweep toss. Michael Payne trying to get some room, and the Tigers sniffed that out well. Just a gain of a yard for Michael Payne, and that's going to set up 2nd down and 9. Morningside offensively finds something that they can't move the football with, at least. But you know one thing, if they don't succeed on it the first time, they'll figure out a way on the second time.
Yeah, they don't panic because it's 2nd and 9. I guarantee you that.
Absolutely not. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 35-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 58 seconds remain in the first quarter. As Dolenchek lines up in the gun, 2 receivers left and 1 right. As he takes a snap, a play-action fake, passes over the middle. There's Zach Norton, turns around his defender, breaks the tackle, and dives into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown. Career touchdown pass number 165 for Joe Dolenchek. He ties Trent Solzma for the all-time Morningside career passing touchdown record and the all-time NAIA career passing touchdown record, and it puts the Mustangs up 41-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Well, they're such good route runners right there. The receiver runs a corner route. As soon as the safety turns his hips on the corner, the receiver sinks his hips and comes back inside, and there's literally no hope of defending that route.
Chase Carter doing what he's done all day. His 6th point after try. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 42-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard with 45 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Take a 30-second break. Back with more Mustang football after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City.
Alongside Mustang, 42. Dakota Wesleyan Tigers, 0.
We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium here in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Top-ranked Morningside is blowing out Dakota Wesleyan with 45 seconds left in the first quarter. The Mustangs are up 42-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. Joe Dolinchek has just tied Trent Solzma for the career program and NAIA career passing touchdown record with his 165th touchdown completion. As this kickoff is fair caught inside the 5-yard line by Jamin Aaron. He'll take it out to the 25. And the Tigers will start their drive there. It is impressive what Joe Dolinchek has been able to do. Of course, he backed up Trent his true freshman year in 2018, part of that first NAIA National Championship. And then he's led the Mustangs to 2 more in 2019 and 2021. Poised again for potentially another championship run. The Mustangs are looking like the #1 team in the country. They have proven that week in and week out this year. 1st and 10 for Dakota Wesleyan at the 25-yard line. They'll motion a tight end to the left side of the formation. Handoff around the right side. Sweep play. Jamin Aaron trying to get outside the tackle. He just barely gets 2 yards to the 27 after Lonell Boyd and Jalen Portis bring him down. It's 2nd down and 8.
Well, you're seeing a safety, Boyd, number 4, make the tackle 1 yard off the line of scrimmage. And when you start doing that, you just don't scheme blocking safeties up on the line of scrimmage. Right. So, I mean, and somewhere along the line offensively, if defenses are going to bring safeties and be that active with them, you're going to have to play action them and take shots downfield.
And Dakota Wesleyan is going to take this one into quarter number 2 as the clock winds down after 15 minutes of football. Yes, just 15 minutes. It's 42-0. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan on the People's Bank scoreboard. Back in 1 minute with the second quarter on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. All right, give me 1 minute here. 1 minute. And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteg. On 2nd and 8, Austin Lee completes a pass over the middle, and that gets positive yardage across the 35 to the 36-yard line. Nolan DeVork on the completion. He picks up 9 yards, and a first down for the Tigers. As we start quarter number 2, the Mustangs on top of Dakota Wesleyan, 42-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. Joe Dolinchek, 9 of 12 passing, 206 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's tied Trent Solzma for the career NAIA and program passing touchdown records, now both at 165 touchdown completions. It's 1st and 10 at the 36. Austin Lee, 3-step drop out of the gun, takes a shot over the left seam. That's a jump ball, and it is hauled in by the Tigers. Across the 35 to the 30-yard line on the completion is Cole Holden. It's a big completion for the Tigers. They get down to the 27 of Morningside and have a first down.
The hardest ball for a defensive back to defend is a back shoulder fade or a fade that is thrown short, because if they're playing it right, they're on top of the route, and the receiver's going to have the leverage to come back and get the ball, and that's exactly what happened there. It was a post route, but he underthrew him so badly that he was able to come back and get the ball, and that's impossible for the defensive back to stop.
Well, now the Tigers take advantage of it. They'll have 1st and 10 of the Mustang 27-yard line, trying to get their first score of the day. Keel Nelson, the Wildcat quarterback, keeps up the middle across the 25. He's tackled forward to the 24. It's a pickup of 3 for Nelson. Sets up 2nd and 7. Now the Tigers are moving the football a little bit, Bob. They kind of feel like they're starting to gain some confidence here offensively now, but again, they're just down in a hole at this point. So whether or not that confidence is well placed or not, I guess is up to be determined.
Well, what they're doing is catching the ball a little bit better. I mean, that's what they're doing right now.
Here's Keel Nelson once again at the quarterback position, 2nd and 7 from the 24. Nelson gives to Aaron, a delayed sweep handoff around the left side, and he picks up nothing, getting back to the line of scrimmage for no gain. Sets up 3rd down and 7.
Again, that's that power read look, and what you're doing is running an outside zone with the ball, with the running back or a receiver or whatever, and then the quarterback is reading the edge defender, and if the edge defender makes the tackle, that means the quarterback, or in that case the running back, didn't read it right, and that's exactly what happened.
So the Tigers find themselves between a rock and a hard place here with 3rd down and 7 at the Mustang 24-yard line. 2 receivers on either side. Play clock's down to 7. As Lee lines up in the gun, play clock to 4. He takes the snap, throws toward the right seam. A leaping catch by Jacob Oxos. Good hit right away, and he comes up short of the marker. It's a gain of 5 to the 19, and the tackler is hurt, or slow to get up anyway. Lonell Boyd Jr. made the hit. They gave him 6 to the 18, and it'll set up 4th and 1 for the Tigers now in the red zone.
Well, they're able to do now what they couldn't do early in the game, and that's just throw and catch the ball. I mean, you remember the first 2 series, we talked about them having guys open and can't get them the ball, or they don't catch the ball. Now they're getting them the ball and catching the ball, so they're starting to execute their stuff.
Well, here you go, the Mustang defense trying to keep them out of the end zone. 4th and 1, handoff up the middle. Jamin Aaron has a second burst close to the line to gain, but I don't think he get it. Those lines judges do not have a favorable spot for the Tigers. He comes up short of the mark, and we'll await the official word, but I think it will be turnover on downs. It is. The Mustangs take over inside their own 20. Well, there you go. The Mustang defense bends but doesn't break once again.
Well, you could tell pre-snap that if they're going to run the ball inside the tackles, that it wasn't going to work, and it's just the way Morningside plays their defensive line. I mean, it's sometimes impossible to run the ball between the tackles.
So 1st down and 10 for Morningside at their own 18-yard line, the worst field position they've had today, starting inside their own red zone. 2 receivers left and 1 right. Now motion of receiver to the right side of the formation. Dalenchek throws it out there. That's Drew Sellen, the freshman. Right numbers across the 20 to the 25-yard line. And Drew Sellen picks up 8 yards to the 26. Sets up 2nd and 8.
Well, Morningside puts trips into the boundary to the offense's left, and then they motion a guy out, and Dakota Wesleyan did nothing to the motion, and the motion guy is who caught the ball.
2nd and 2. Cole takes the handoff. He comes up just shy of the marker, spots him at the 27. It's going to set up 3rd and 1 for the Mustangs. Drew Sellen is the freshman receiver who made the catch on the first screen. He's a freshman from Fremont. That's the first time we've seen him in a contest this year. So good to see a true freshman out there getting some reps for the Mustang offense. It's now 3rd down and 1 for Morningside from their own 27-yard line. Dalenchek, a receiver on either side. Tight end left. 2 tight ends left in the formation. Dalenchek tried a hard count. Tigers don't budge. 10 seconds on the play clock. 11 minutes left in the half. 42-0 Morningside on the People's Bank scoreboard. Cole, the handoff up the middle. He's across the 30. Spins his way forward, and he's tackled down to the 34-yard line. A gain of 7 for Cole. It's a 1st down. Ryan Cole running the football very well here today. He's now at 7 carries, 87 yards on the ground today. Of course, he did have that 47-yard run earlier today. It's 1st and 10. Dalenchek, the handoff around the right side. Ryan Cole across the 35. He dives his way forward to the 38-yard line. That's a pickup of 4. It'll be 2nd and 6.
I wonder if Morningside didn't get in the wrong formation right there, because they put the tight end to the right with 2 receivers, and normally that's a set we call tray, but one of the receivers was on line scrimmage, which makes the tight end ineligible.
2nd and 6 at the 38. Handoff up the middle. Ryan Cole gets across the 40. He powers his way through the tackler to the 42-yard line. Still comes up short of the marker, but sets up 3rd and 2.
That's an example right there where the defense is playing too high. The guy making the tackle stands straight up and down, and Cole puts his helmet right in his chest.
3rd and 2. They'll go back to the well. Ryan Cole, the handoff. He gets stood up at the 34, but they gave him enough. or the 44, excuse me, but he got enough to the 45-yard line. It's a gain of 3, and the Mustangs move the chains with another first down. And into the ball game comes Bryson Freeberg, the junior from Tri-Center of Neola. He's taken over some of the snaps at the running back position after 3 straight handoffs to Ryan Cole. 42-0, top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan. 9:22 remains in the first half. I will say I appreciate Coach Andrew Rohde for calling a ton of running plays. Get that clock winding down. Dolenchek drops to throw. He passes over the middle. Ball to Drew Sellen and threw it wide of him. And then Joe Dolenchek took a hit. He's asking for a substitution as he's running back. He's grabbing his right wrist at the 15-yard line. That is not a good sign for the Mustangs. And now all the attention in the world is paid to the NAIA Player of the Year and Joe Dolenchek.
I'd be more worried about his thumb because I have a hunch he hit his hand on the defender's helmet.
Now Luke Johansson takes over at the quarterback position. We'll try and keep an eye on Joe Dolenchek. Katie Burford's right there immediately. Handoff up the middle, Bryson Freeberg. He's across the 45 to the 48-yard line. He's got 4 to set up 2nd and 6.
You know, going back to that previous play, the Tigers brought a blitz, and Freeberg did a good job of stepping up and picking up the blitz, but he's just not big enough, and the linebacker just kind of runs him over, and I'm afraid that Dolenchek might have hit his hand on his helmet.
I think that's what it is. He's trying to shake out something there. It's his right hand that they're looking at. He was shaking out his left hand, but it's now 3rd and 6. Luke Johansson thrown to the fire. He drops to throw, takes a hit as he lobs it up over the middle. Zach Norton's wide open across the 15 and into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown. Luke Johansson stood tall in the pocket, and he completes his first home touchdown pass as a Mustang. Morningside leads 48-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
That's a really good job by Johansson of hanging in there because, again, he's got a guy bearing down on him, and he knows he's going to get hit, and he throws a post route. And if you're a Dakota Wesleyan defensive player, you're wondering, how does a post route get behind us on that coverage?
Right. Well, it does, and the Mustangs get a touchdown here with 8:28 to play in the first half. Point after try for Chase Carter, the right-footed boot off of the hole of Justin McElligott. It is through the uprights and good. 49-0. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan. 8:28 left in the first half. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS in Sioux City. And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson in Sioux City alongside Bob Goodfin. I'm Daniel Versteg. Well, the news here for Joe Dolenchek, at least, is that he is walking off the field over toward the locker room. He's walking with a member of the training staff. We won't know exactly what he's doing at this point. Katie Burford, the head athletic trainer for the Mustangs, is talking with, I believe, Mr. and Mrs. Dolenchek down at the base of the bleachers to see what they're going to do with Joe, who has now exited the stadium to that west side of the field. And now Ben Steffen sends a high right-footed end-over-end kick. Jamin Aaron, fair catches it at the 10. It'll come out to the 25, and Joe Dolenchek has left the facility. And they are going to take a look at the reigning NAIA Player of the Year's thumb. We believe it's his thumb anyway that they'll be taking a look at. Bob, you were talking about in the break, of course, when you throw the football, you grab it one way, but then as you try and come down with a spiral, the thumb comes down, and it probably just got jammed on a helmet coming on a rush.
Well, it's a natural physiological movement that when you throw, your thumb ends up down.
Yep.
Even a baseball player who throws a baseball, his thumb's going to end up down. And I'm just afraid he might have hit his thumb on the top of the helmet. That happens quite often to quarterbacks.
Well, here comes Dakota Wesleyan offensively. It's a handoff up the middle for just a yard to the 26. Jamin Aaron on the carry. The Mustangs did get a touchdown on that drive, though. Luke Johansson found Zach Norton It was a 52-yard touchdown pass, and the Mustangs lead 49-0 on our People's Bank scoreboard. 8-10 remains in the first half, but the Tigers have now second down and 8 to go. Dakota Wesleyan from their own 27-yard line after the 2-yard carry to Jamin Aaron. Looks like it is Austin Lee out there at the quarterback position. We always got to keep an eye on with Keel Nelson, who's been running the Wildcat for the Tigers. He motions a tight end left to right in the formation. Lee hands off up the middle, and just a yard on the carry for Garrett Mondalfa. Sets up 3rd down and 7 as the Tigers get to the 28. Boy, it's really tough for Dakota Wesleyan to run the football today, Bob.
Yeah, it's just a bad matchup. One, the defensive line for Morningside is just better than the offensive line for Dakota Wesleyan, and two, the schematics of it just, like I've said many times, it just doesn't allow them to run the football inside the tackles.
Well, it sets up 3rd down and 7. Dakota Wesleyan, maybe they try and break out a pass here. They empty the backfield, so I can only imagine there's a pass play coming. 3 receivers left, 1 right, tight end left side of the line of scrimmage. Lee tries a bit of a hard count, doesn't get any movement. And now he lines up by himself in the gun. Takes a chest-high snap, 3-step drop, passes over the middle. Mondalfa makes the catch, and he runs into a Mustang defender at the 30-yard line. It is Isaac Pingle who stops him dead in his tracks at the 30 for just a gain of 2. And it's 4th and 5 for the Tigers, who are forced to punt it once again.
You know, that's another thing you should have observed from a Morningside team is how well they tackle in space.
Yeah.
I mean, they throw a little shallow cross route, and they hit the receiver roughly at 3 yards downfield, and the linebacker comes up. If he misses the tackle, I mean, they pick up the first down, and they just tackle so well in space.
Victor Kinnish now out to boot this one away for the 5th time today. He gets under it. It bounces at the 37, takes a Mustang roll back to the 42, then bounces back to the 40, and the Tigers will down it there. Morningside will start their next drive at the 40-yard line. Of course, it was inevitable to see Luke Johansson at some point today, Bob, but he's being thrown into the fire probably a little bit earlier than he had anticipated. And of course, the game is nowhere near a barn burner at this point, but it's still probably a little bit jarring for him to come out in this kind of scenario. But one thing, this is why they play Luke like their offense in the second half of most games.
Well, you don't want to see him in the game under these circumstances.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter that he's.
As Johansson throws an interception, it is picked off by the Tigers. Jesus Herrera picks off the pass thrown behind Drew Sellen. And now the Tigers will take over at their own 49-yard line. And that's the first interception thrown by Johansson in his Mustang career. And, well, yeah, that's probably why you don't want him in these kind of scenarios, under these kind of circumstances. Something like that can happen, maybe.
Well, you hit it on the head. He just threw the ball behind the receiver. I mean, the ball's a foot away from being on target, and that 12 inches allows the defensive guy who is behind the receiver to intercept the ball. I mean,
now the Tiger offense is back onto the field. 1st and 10 of the 49-yard line. Austin Lee in the gun. 2 receivers either side. He motions Keel Nelson to the right side of the formation. Play action fake. Quick pass rush. Ball got batted down. Weston Schultz coming off the edge. Stuck his hand in the way of the pass from Austin Lee. Batted it down. It'll be 2nd and 10.
What you hear a lot when you watch and listen about football is quarterback windows. And windows is just how open is the receiver. And sometimes, what's amazing about Morningside's offense is guys are running wide open. So, I mean, I can hit those windows. But when the windows get more narrow, that's when it takes a bigger arm and a more accurate arm. And in that last play, the window's 6 inches. I mean, if the ball's 6 inches further ahead, it's probably a completion.
Here's Lee throwing into the flats. One-handed catch by Jamin Aaron, but he would have been better off letting it drop as Jalen Portis brings him down for a loss of 3 at the 46-yard line on the screen pass. That'll set up 3rd down and 13. You think he's still got a good couple of throws in you, Bob?
Nope.
No?
Nope. No, I do not.
How far do you think you could throw it yet?
I couldn't hit this window, and I'm about 6 inches away from it.
I'd give you a little bit more credit than that. Here's 3rd and 13 for Dakota Wesleyan from their own 46-yard line. 5:30 remains in the half. 49-0 Mustangs on top of the People's Bank scoreboard. Empty look for Austin Lee. We've got movement. The Mustangs jumped off sides, and then Dakota Wesleyan popped up.
They should have snapped the ball.
They should have snapped the ball. This I wonder if they're going to call false start on this because they popped up. Morningside jumped off sides, didn't touch anybody.
Well, if the encroachment draws movement by the offensive line, it's got to be offsides.
Yeah, it is. It is going to be offside. I forgot about that part of the rule. Yeah.
But they shouldn't have done that.
No, they shouldn't
should have just ran the play knowing they had a free play.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want at that point. But it is a 5-yard penalty, so the Tigers will take 3rd and 8.
But if you're an offensive lineman and you've been getting beat all day and the guy jumps offside, you're naturally going to flinch and
Yeah, they scare them out of their shoes on that.
Oh boy.
Here's 3rd and 8. There's more movement.
That's on Dakota Wesleyan.
That's going to be on Dakota Wesleyan, so they'll give the 5 yards right back to Morningside as that receiver on the right side false started. And we can't get this 3rd down play off. It will move 5 yards up on the penalty, move 5 yards back, and the Tigers will have 3rd and 13 all over again.
Well, if you're an offensive coach for Dakota Wesleyan, you're whispering underneath your breath right now that we can't do anything right. I mean, we just pick up 5 yards on offsides, and then we turn around and give it right back to them because the receiver jumps off sides. I mean, that's just something that can't happen.
Right. Here's 3rd and 13. Tigers for their own 46 after an offsides and a false start penalty. Have got us back to square one. Out of the gun, Lee throws toward the right sideline. Nelson makes the catch, but he tripped on the turf monster across the 47 to the 46. He got 8 yards. He needed 13, so that'll set up 4th and 5.
See, I really like the call. I mean, I'm kind of surprised they're punting here, I guess, but
right.
I mean, if he doesn't fall down, he might not get the first down, but it's going to be 4th and 2 or 3, and I mean, it gives you an option to go for it on 4th down if you want to. So I kind of like the call. It was there. It's kind of a gift that they're giving you.
And it's kind of disappointing, I guess, for them that, Nelson tripped it. Again, it's one of those we can't do much right here. It's a right-footed kick. This one's going to bounce inside the 5 at the 4 and bounce on the fly out of the end zone for a touchback and straight into the soccer goal. Back behind the end zone. Did they get a point for that or something?
Might be the only way you can get 1 point in
maybe,
football.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's nice target practice by the punter. But the Mustangs are going to get this football all the way out to the 20-yard line on the touchback. Coming up at halftime, we're going to get you caught up on scores from around the Great Plains Athletic Conference. There's another blowout happening in Orange City. And some other close games. We've got some good contests around the league. We'll get you caught up on those at half and some stats and break down kind of the contest that we've seen to this point. Luke Johansson's in at quarterback for the seemingly injured Joe Dolenchek. Handoff around the left side. Ryan Cole gets across the 25 to the 29. It's 9 yards to set up 2nd down and 1. Of course, we don't want to declare Joe injured yet. He's left the field. He came down with what we believe to be a thumb injury, and they are now taking him away to, I guess, get that thumb looked at as Ryan Cole takes the carry up the middle, and he picks up nothing to the 29. That's going to set up 3rd down and 1, and now we've got a Mustang down on the field. It's a Mustang offensive lineman. He punches the turf. He is not happy that he is laying down on the field with an injury, grabbing at that left knee. Well, this has gone from bad to worse here for the Mustangs. The 2nd offensive starter down with an injury, and now this one does not look very good. We'll take a timeout here with the injury on the field. We'll be back after this. The Mustangs up 49-0 on Dakota Wesleyan, 3:31 in the half. We're back in 30 seconds on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City alongside Bob Goodvin. I'm Daniel Versteg. After the injury timeout, Mason Williams, the starting center out of Omaha, being helped off the field by Jason Simcoe and Tristan Johnson, as he has not put any weight on that left leg since heading toward the bench. So now the backup center, Hayden Tilgus, or maybe that's Colby Roos, is going to snap the football for the Mustangs. No, it's neither. Christian Rehas snapping the football as Johansson hands off up the middle on 3rd and 1. The Mustangs pick up 3 yards to the 32. Ryan Cole the carry, and the Mustangs will move the chains with a first down.
What a smart play, though, by the offensive coaches for Morningside. You got a brand new center in with the backup quarterback in, and instead of asking the center on his first play to shotgun snap it, you get him under center and just get a safer snap for him.
1st and 10 for the Mustangs at their own 32. Johansson out of the pistol, handoff up the middle. This is Bryson Freeberg dragging defenders across the 35 to the 40-yard line. Just a hard-nosed run for Freeberg. Picks up 8 yards to set up 2nd and 2.
Right now it's a tough day for offensive starters from Omaha for Morningside right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the greater Omaha Metro is hurting right now with Mason Williams and Joe Dolenchek down with injuries. 2nd down and 2, handoff up the middle, and no gain there for Freeberg once again. A lineman falls backwards over the top of him again. No gain will set up 3rd and 2. But again, we don't want to declare anything hurt with Joe. We don't really know a whole lot. We do know it's his right hand. We believe it's his thumb that he hit on a helmet on a throw, but we'll have to wait and see. It is 3rd down and 2. Handoff up the middle. Bryson Freeberg gets across the 45 to the 46. He's got 6 yards, and the Mustangs move the chains, and we'll have a first down here for Morningside as a stretcher is being brought out for Mason Williams, and that is never a good sign, as they will have to probably carry him off the field as well. So 2 Mustangs have gone down in the span of this contest. And now they are running with a backup center and a backup quarterback. 1st and 10 of the 46. Johansson handoff up the middle. Freeberg breaks the tackle, bounces off right tackle, and gets back to the line of scrimmage for no gain. 2nd down and 10 upcoming for Morningside. With a minute 25 remaining in the first half, top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 49-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. Today is not only football day for the Mustangs, but it is the opener of the men's basketball season. Mustangs head down to Peru to take on Peru State. 2nd down and 10. Of course, that's Peru, Nebraska. Screen pass over the left side. Jack Sievert breaks a tackle, gets a block outside the left numbers across midfield, and he dives forward to the 47 of Dakota Wesleyan. That's a 7-yard gain. Sets up 3rd and 3. 3rd down and 3 for Morningside with 52 seconds remaining in quarter number 2. The top-ranked Mustangs lead Dakota Wesleyan 49-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 3rd and 3. Of course, the offense becoming stagnant after scoring 42 points in the first quarter. Thankfully, they don't have to do a whole lot now. 3 receivers right, 2 left. They motion Freeberg into the backfield. Johansson out of the gun, takes the snap, handoff up the middle, and Freeberg gets stood up. No gain, maybe a yard gain to the 46. It'll set up 4th down and 2 for the Mustangs, who can let this one tick down to the half as long as Dakota Wesleyan doesn't use a timeout. Well, looks like that's what they're going to do. Tigers won't call a timeout. Morningside won't run a play. And the clock will wind down on the first 30 minutes of this contest. Morningside puts up 49 points in the first 30 minutes of action to lead Dakota Wesleyan at the halftime break. Top-ranked Mustangs and defending national champions lead Dakota Wesleyan 49-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. We'll take a short break, or a decent-sized break, I should say. When we come back, we'll break down the first half action for you, take a look at some of the stats, and talk about what it all means. We'll also take a look at the halftime scores around the Great Plains Athletic Conference. 4 other games in GPAC action. We'll get those scores for you when we come back. Top-ranked Morningside over Dakota Wesleyan, 49-0 at the half. We're back in 4 minutes with our halftime coverage here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field for your halftime entertainment, the reigning NAIA national champions, the Mustang Dance Team. gentlemen of the week, President Mosley would like to welcome the 1989 to 1992 football team who have traveled across the country to be here today. The team saw over 30 North Central Conference players, including a dozen being named to the first team, 5 All-Americans, 7 NFL tryouts, and 1 Super Bowl champion. Give a big round of applause to our 1989 to 1992 Mustang football team. Ladies and gentlemen, now entering the field from the School of Visual and Performing Arts on the beautiful campus of Morningside University. Under the field commander drum major, Abby Lincoln. We are proud to present the pride of Morningside, the Mustang Marching Band.
We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium for our halftime coverage as the Mustangs lead Dakota Wesleyan 49-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard, enjoying some background music from the marching Mustangs here at the halftime break. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteg, top-ranked Morningside. Blowing out Dakota Wesleyan 49-0, but the outlook of the day has kind of turned a little bleak after Joe Dolenchek left the game with an apparent hand injury. We think it's his thumb, but we don't want to play doctor on the radio. We don't have those kind of credentials to be able to do that. We'll let the training staff take care of that a lot better. And then Mason Williams, the center, has been carted off the field, and so that does not look very good for him either. But the first half, outside of those injuries, Bob, I mean, Morningside was able to move the ball consistently, and they had success just kind of doing whatever they wanted to, and it just kind of felt like another Morningside dominant ball game before all these injuries have started happening.
Well, there are just times when the Morningside offense is literally unstoppable. I mean, I wouldn't even sit here and try to lie to you and tell you how to stop them, because that would be nothing but total BS.
Thankfully, you never had to try and stop them.
No.
You were an offensive coach with Coach Ryan at the beginning of his career, and then you defected to the high school ranks, so you don't have to deal with Morningside from a game planning perspective. Let's take a look at the first half numbers here for you today. We'll start with the team totals. Morningside puts together 396 yards of total offense on just 36 plays. That's over 10 yards a play. 272 of those yards coming through the air, 124 going on the ground. Mustangs with 1 penalty for 5 yards. They picked off 1 pass, 12 minutes time of possession, 6 of 7 on third down tries, and they were perfect when they got into the red zone. Dakota Wesleyan, 134 yards of offense, 84 through the air, 50 on the ground. They've picked off Luke Johansson once, punted the ball 6 times. They've been penalized twice for 20 yards, 18 minutes time of possession, 0 for 7 on third downs, 0 for 1 on fourth downs, and 0 for 1 in the red zone. Some of the individual numbers: Morningside quarterback Joe Dolenchek, 10 of 14, 213 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did tie Trent Solzma for the all-time NAIA and program career records for touchdown passes, but then he had to leave with that apparent hand injury. Luke Johansson, 2 of 3 passing, 59 yards and a touchdown strike. That went to Zach Norton. Ryan Cole, 13 carries, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zach Norton, 4 catches, 123 yards, 3 touchdowns. Austin Johnson, 4 catches, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the defensive side for the Mustangs, they are led in tackles by Brody Nelson, who's got 6 tackles on the day. Is that Brody wearing number 30? Yeah, that is number 34. Okay, that's right. 6 tackles there for Brody Nelson. He leads the way defensively. 1 tackle for loss for Jalen Portis. He also recovered a fumble and then the interception from Joshua Miller. For Dakota Wesleyan, they are led passing the football by Austin Lee, 9 of 16, 80 yards. He's thrown an interception. Jamin Aaron, 8 carries, 38 yards. Through the air, Cole Holden has the longest completion on the day for 36 yards. Jacob Oxos, 3 catches, 26 yards. And then on the defensive side, they are led by Victor Kinnish with 6 tackles. Bob, a first half that you said, Morningside's so dominant in. But now, what do you, I mean, obviously we can never know, but what do you think is kind of the message now in the locker room here at the half of saying, all right, we've lost our leader, we've lost the guy who gets him the ball on every play. What do you think the message is for the Mustangs here at half?
Well, I tell you what I would recommend, and that let's get our quarterback some snaps. I mean, if this, you hate to say this because again we're not going to play doctor, but he might have to play for a couple games.
Right.
And let's get him some game time snaps and some game time situations, regardless of the score.
Yes.
I mean, let's go out and let's make him execute our offense right now.
I mean, that's the nice thing about it is this isn't, week 1 in that tight one-possession game against Northwestern. The Mustangs still can kind of, like you said, do whatever you want. But I guess the question then becomes, that's probably something they're trying to figure out, how do you keep the intensity up without the pressure of a one-score game or something like that?
Well, that's where your preparation comes into play, and that's where your culture comes into play, and and then you put it on the individual, and you just say you got to compete, regardless of what the score is. You compete, and what successful people do is they don't compete against their opponent; they compete against perfection. And so let's go out and compete to be perfect.
Well, and the competition aspect is something that Coach Ryan is always so high on. He always talks about how the guys compete in practice, how the guys compete during games, things like that. And one thing with both quarterbacks, Joe and Luke, being from Bellevue and from the same high school, Bellevue West, they've got to be competitive guys just in and of itself. Bob, I watched them during pregame, and they're trying to throw the football and hit the crossbar on the goalpost, and they're even trying to be the better punter out of the two. I mean, it can just be silly things like that. Your quarterback's trying to pin the ball down inside the 5 on a punt that can just kind of, grow that competition between the two. Well,
I mean, a lesson in life is everything in life is competition. I mean, literally everything. Every aspect of life, there is competition. And I used to tell our guys at East that if somebody else doesn't want to go out with your girlfriend, something's wrong. I mean, you got to compete for everything.
Right.
And that's you don't play at the collegiate level without having a fierce competitive side to you. And I'm sure that's what's being talked to now. Let's go out and let's keep competing, and let's get our quarterback comfortable.
Well, and that's the thing is we've seen Luke Johansson in some scenarios throughout the season. Now, he did throw an interception in the second half, just a slightly mistimed pass, but it was taken advantage of by Jesus Herrera. But you've seen him lead the offense well. He threw a touchdown last week against Mount Marty. He facilitates the offense so well, and so you hope this is just an extension of what you do throughout the entire contest, Bob. But obviously now, if he's going to go in with some of the first unit guys, they got to build that relationship. They got to build that timing with each other, because that's what Joe is so valuable with. He's played 4 years with Austin, Zach, and Caleb. Now you stick Luke in there. It's a totally different guy.
Well, that's what I said on the one touchdown pass down here on the goal line, is that you could tell the two guys were on the same page, because Dolenchek threw the ball before the receiver was even out of his cut, and that's when you're on the same page, so to speak. And what you're going to see with Luke early on, and until he really gets a feel for the offense and a feel for playing with the number one receivers, you're going to see him throw the ball late. I mean, that's you're just going to see that. And as a matter of fact, his interception down here, we talked about it being kind of thrown behind him, but he also threw it late. I mean, the receiver was out of his break by the time he threw it, and it doesn't matter if you're playing for the 6th grade Bombers or the Kansas City Chiefs. Young quarterbacks throw the ball late. I mean, they just do that, and so.
Well, because the game speeds up for them so much.
they're young. I mean,
Yeah.
when I say young, I don't necessarily mean young in age or young in eligibility.
Sure.
I just mean young in snaps, and they just don't have enough snaps underneath them to know exactly when the ball needs to be thrown. And so that's one of the reasons I said, let's get this kid. What I would say is, let's get this kid going and let's get him into the offense. And the more throws he can make in a game situation with our number ones, the better he's going to be.
If you're Dakota Wesleyan in the locker room, I mean, 49 points is impossible to come back from against any football team, let alone the defending national champs. But if you're in that locker room and you've seen Joe go out with an injury, the center go out with an injury, do you maybe smell a little bit of blood in the water and say, why don't we try and capitalize on this, see if we can put some points on the board? Or I guess maybe another way is say, see how we can do keeping them out of the end zone now and really throw off Morningside trying to get him reps?
Well, I mean, you can sit here and say, okay, Dolenchek's out of the game, so I'm going to guess that they're going to try to run the ball a little bit more, or they're going to throw short passes a little bit more, and you can scheme against that. But you're not necessarily scheming against the number one quarterback being hurt. You know
right,
what I mean?
Right.
But the biggest thing is you just sit in that locker room and say, hey, let's go out and get better. Every snap, let's improve, and let's just keep competing, and let's see if we can get better. And I'm sure that's what's being said.
Absolutely. Well, it's an interesting opportunity. It's not very often that a Morningside quarterback ends up hurt. Obviously, we see the backup quarterbacks a lot of the time just because of the games being so wide. I bet you, Bob, that probably the last time we were talking about a quarterback not being able to play due to injury or something was probably that frozen semifinal game in 2013 with Ryan Kasdorf.
I was going to say it probably is Kasdorf when he tore his ACL that playoff game, and the message also is, hey, let's rally behind the kid.
Sure.
I mean, let's go out and let's rally. So, offensive line, you guys step it up. You got to play better now.
All right. Well, it's going to be an interesting opportunity. We'll see what Luke can do with the second half all to himself. He had the second half all to himself last week against Mount Marty, but, of course, under some very different circumstances. Morningside leads 49-0 over Dakota Wesleyan here at halftime. Before we take another break before the second half starts, let's take a look at scores around the Great Plains Athletic Conference, and we'll start with the number 4 ranked team in the country, where the Northwestern College Red Raiders are destroying Briarcliff 42-0 at the halftime break, just a little bit behind us in our score here at Elwood Olson Stadium. Northwestern is being led by their new quarterback, Jalen Gramstad, 3 touchdown passes, 209 yards. Cade Mosier with 2 receiving touchdowns, and then Logan Meyer has 2 rushing touchdowns for the Red Raiders. In Yankton, South Dakota, we'll get to some of the closer games now. The Mount Marty Lancers lead Doane 13-6 as they start the second half of that contest. Mount Marty going for their second conference win in program history. 197 yards of offense, touchdown pass from that true freshman we saw last week in Clayton Byer. 2 for 2, 27 yards and a touchdown. Caden Johnson, the running back, 72 yards and a touchdown run for Mount Marty. Doane's scores have come from 2 Kellen Meyer field goals. Again, it's 13-6 in favor of Mount Marty at half. As this one closes in on the half, we better pay attention to this one. 14th ranked Midland and Concordia are tied at 17 late in the second quarter of that contest. That's a huge one. Midland still trying to play their way into the playoffs. I think a loss here to Concordia would just about dash those playoff hopes. Jared Quinones has hit a field goal. Jacoby Rose and Tyson Denkert have touchdowns for Midland. We'll see Concordia last week of the season in Seward. Luke Lang and DJ McGarvey with touchdowns. Ty Harrell the field goal. In Sioux Center, it's homecoming for the defenders, and Dort leads Jamestown at half 20-17. That one is close as well as the Jimmies try and spoil homecoming for Dort. The defenders get 2 touchdowns from Cade McDaniel, their quarterback, on 12 of 18 for 177 yards. Jamestown has just 1 rushing touchdown. It comes from Cade Torgerson. I believe another defensive touchdown came in there as well. But our score here at Elwood Olson Stadium, 49-0. Mustangs on top. We'll be back in 3 minutes with the start of the second half. You're listening to Mustang Football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium alongside Bob Goodvin. I'm Daniel Versteg. We start half number 2 with the Mustangs on top 49-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard, leading Dakota Wesleyan. Thanks for sticking around for our halftime coverage as we broke down the action, took a look at scores around the GPAC. There's going to be some great final scores around the conference with 3 games that are separated by 1 possession or aren't separated by anything at the halftime break. This kickoff for Dakota Wesleyan sends it back to the 3-yard line. It gets into the end zone for a touchback and bounces out of the end zone for a touchback. Morningside will start at their own 25-yard line. So the Mustangs will get the football back offensively. And, of course, if you're just tuning in, Joe Dolenchek exited the contest midway through the second quarter with an apparent hand injury. Of course, we don't want to diagnose things, but it looked like it could be his thumb potentially. And he has left the premises to get that checked out. They took him off the field and out of the stadium very quickly to get him looked at. Of course, with a quarterback like him, you don't want to tread lightly and waste any time. And so the Mustangs have Luke Johansson in at quarterback. Handoff up the middle. This is Bryson Freeberg. Picks up a yard to the 26-yard line. It's a gain of 1 yard. 2nd down and 9 upcoming. You saw what I saw probably there, yeah.
I saw the right guard for Morningside just literally take a guy and throw him to the ground, and I'm not 100% sure how that's not holding.
I don't know either. I think it was Colby Rose.
Yeah, number 56.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's 2nd down and 9 from the 26. Handoff up the middle. It's Bryson Freeberg. Just not anywhere to go. He gets a yard to the 27. It's going to set up 3rd down and kind of a stinky 8 yards to go.
Well, when you know the other team's going to run the ball, you design blitzes and different stunts to be run oriented, and that means your gap sound. When you design blitzes against passes, you can be not gap sound, and you can send 2 people in gaps.
Here's Johansson out of the gun. He passes over the middle. Juggling try. Michael Payne can't haul it in at the 30-yard line. He had linemen going out to block for him, but Payne can't haul on the crossing route. It's a 3-and-out for the Mustangs to start the second half, and Justin McElligott comes out for his first punt of the day.
Yeah, they ran him on an anchor route, meaning he faked outside and brought him back inside, and I think he wanted to get the ball to him just a little bit sooner so that he can maneuver over the middle better.
So McElligott out to boot it away. Dakota Wesleyan lines up 10 across the line of scrimmage, looking like they might rush them all. We'll see if they do. It's a good snap to McElligott. It's a good rush from Dakota Wesleyan. It's a line drive spiraler, fielded at the 42-yard line and taken out by the Tigers. It's a good return to the right sideline, 40 to the 38-yard line on the return for Dakota Wesleyan. Landon Rusink gets into Mustang territory at the 39-yard line, and just like that, Bob, a 3-and-out, good return. Dakota Wesleyan seems like they've got some life now.
Well, what Rusick did a good job of is not only catching the punt, of course, but once he caught it, he got vertical right away. And by getting vertical, you make the outside guys miss you. They run past you. And as soon as you get vertical, now you're 2 or 3 guys down.
Joe Dolenchek has returned to the stadium. And, yeah, I think we've got our answer. I see some blue tape around that thumb and that left side of the hand, so we'll see how that goes for him in the future. Austin Lee pass over the middle. That ball gets deflected away by Josh Miller. It's an incomplete pass. It's 2nd down and 10. Of course, Dolenchek has his shoulder pads off. There's no way he's coming back into the contest. It actually, Bob, looks like it's his pointer and middle finger that are taped together. It may not be his thumb, but it may be that pointer finger or something like that, because his thumb is separate from that blue tape on that right hand. He's giving an elbow to Jamal Jones, who's also talking to him down on the sideline. 2nd down and 10 for the Tigers from the Mustang 39-yard line. 2 receivers left, handoff up the middle. Jamin Aaron, he gets back to the line of scrimmage, but no gain for the Tiger running back. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the index finger and the middle finger that look taped together. And, I think again, I'm not going to play doctor, but I'm going to guess that right now that they're not broke. That would be my guess.
You would think it'd be, kind of casted up or some kind of metal around it as well, like they do with fingers. But yeah, he's talking with some fans here at at the game. He doesn't get an opportunity to do this during the game, but he's checking in with his parents. 3rd down and 10 for Dakota Wesleyan. Handoff around the right side. Jamin Aaron gets off tackle. 35, right sideline 30, and he gallops out of bounds across the 29 to the 28. That's 11 yards and a first down for Dakota Wesleyan. So, yeah, Joe Dolachek is back to the facility. That's good to see. They've got his pointer and his middle finger taped up. Again, that doesn't answer exactly how he's doing. Maybe we can get some kind of insight from Coach Ryan in our Long Lines post-game report. We'll at least ask how Joe's doing and seeing what he knows or what he can tell us maybe. 1st and 10 for Dakota Wesleyan, the Mustang 27-yard line. 3 receivers left, tight end left, and the running back off the left hip of Austin Lee. Keel Nelson, handoff right side. Jamin Aaron gets off tackle, breaks a tackle, 25 to the 20. And Jamin Aaron out of bounds right at the 20-yard line. Gain of 7 to set up 2nd and 3. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 49-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 12-10 remains in quarter number 3 as the Mustangs go for win number 8 of the season, win number 22 in a row. Dakota Wesleyan tries to break that goose egg on the scoreboard. Doing a good job right now. 2nd and 3 from the 20-yard line. They're pounding on the doorstep of the red zone. 3 receivers left. Play action. Nelson rolls left. He throws toward the sideline. Leaping catch of the 16. And Preston Nedved gets wrestled out of bounds right at the 16. A pickup of 4, and the Tigers will move the sticks. Tigers picking up a first down and keeping this drive going as they try and score on the number 1 team in the country. The Mustangs have not given up a point since the first half against Jamestown 2 weeks ago. Dakota Wesleyan trying to break that streak here. It's 1st and 10 for the Tigers at the Mustangs 16-yard line. As Austin Lee's taken over at the quarterback position for Keel Nelson once again. Motions a running back to the right side of the formation. Here comes the Mustang blitz. He throws quick left sideline. Keel Nelson at the 10. Oh, he gets upended by Dijon Walls at the 7-yard line, but it is a gain of 9. That sets up 2nd and 1.
See, I like that play call. I mean, Walls is giving him cushion into the boundary, and they just throw a simple little speed out to him, and they pick up 9 yards. But that's a good form tackle by Walls right there. I mean, he wrapped his arms around him. He wrapped his arms around his thighs and lifted him up and threw him into the ground.
Drove through him. Yep, he did everything he wanted him to do. 2nd and 1 for Dakota Wesleyan. The Mustangs 7. Pistol look for Austin Lee as he motions a tight end left side of the formation, and Nolan Dvorak. Now he motions his back out of the backfield. Empty look, dropping a throw. The Mustangs bring the house again. Pass over the middle is in and out of the hands of the targeting Cole Holden at the 5-yard line. It's incomplete. It's now 3rd and 1. Austin Lee took a hit on that play.
Well, I think if you're protecting your quarterback, one of the things you want to know is where number 17 is, Weston Schultz. And he's a defensive end, and he's going to rush the passer every time. He's not dropping in coverage. And they traded the tight end to him, but then they released the tight end. The tackle let him go. And if you're the quarterback or the quarterback's mother, you don't want that happening.
Here's 3rd and 1. Tight end motions left to right. Lee, the handoff up the middle. Jamin Aaron powers forward. He gets to the 5 and has a first down for Dakota Wesleyan. A gain of 2 on the 3rd and 1. And the Tigers will have 1st and goal. Clock's going to keep running. 10:13 to play in the 3rd. Clock and the score are not too much of a factor, but it is 49-0. Mustangs on top of the People's Bank scoreboard. Dakota Wesleyan is trying to break that goose egg, get some points on the board for the first time today. 1st and goal for the Tigers from the Mustang 5-yard line. Out of the gun is Austin Lee. 2 receivers either side of the formation. Back off his left hip. Morningside shows a blitz. They take the snap. Lee throws left sideline. Diving try. Preston Nedved couldn't haul it in. Lonell Boyd Jr., Dijon Walls on the coverage. It'll be 2nd and goal.
You know, if they had that play over again, they lined the tailback up on the left side. They motioned him out to the wide side or to the right, and right away you saw number 39, Pingle, run with him.
Yep.
Well, Pingle's way behind him. I mean, and the tailback's got leverage on him. Just throw the ball out there to the tailback. It's man coverage. You're going to run the other guys off, and it would have been a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah, that's why you motion on those kind of plays to reveal that, but Tigers didn't pick it up. 2nd and goal from the 5. Lee in the gun. 2 receivers either side. Now they do. They throw the screen out there. Pingle trying to chase him to the pylon. Jamin Aaron dives for it and gets in for a Dakota Wesleyan touchdown. Just like you called it on the last play, they take advantage that time. And a 5-yard touchdown pass to Aaron has given Dakota Wesleyan their first score of the game. 49-6 Morningside on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Daniel. That's all but the same play. Now they lined him up on the right side there and just and swung him, if that's the right grammar, swung him after the snap of the ball and didn't bring him in motion. But it's the same thing, and you could tell Morningside was bringing people, and they were playing cover 0.
Well, now the Tigers will get a point after try here. It'll be Jackson Patrick, the true freshman kicker. It's a high snap, the right-footed line drive kick. Just barely got over the line, but does get through the uprights and good. So Dakota Wesleyan has scored. It's 49-7. Mustangs on top. 9:37 remains in the third quarter. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City.
Technology touchdowns for your business with Marco. Learn how Marco can help your team work smarter, make bigger plays, and take your technology further. That's Marco.com. It's been Fibercon's pleasure to serve Siouxland homes and businesses with telephone, internet, and high-speed data network installations for nearly 20 years. Get connected today. Just call 224-2020 or visit fibercon.net. Fibercon, reaching the people.
We welcome you back here to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City alongside East High offensive coordinator Bob Goodfin. I'm Daniel Versteg. It's 49-7. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan, but the Tigers cap off a 10-play, 39-yard drive. That took them 4 minutes and 6 seconds, but they get to the end zone on a 5-yard screen pass from Austin Lee to Jamin Aaron. And the Tigers have got their first points of the contest. Jackson Patrick with a high right-footed boot. Michael Payne fields it over his head of the 4-yard line. Takes it out to the left numbers to the 10-15. Breaks a tackle 20. Trying to get outside the numbers. And he gets run out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Morningside will start their drive inside the 25. And now we've seen a couple of snaps with Luke Johansson in at quarterback, Bob. It's kind of a struggle right now for the Mustangs to move the football offensively. What do you think we see on this drive?
I think you're going to see their offense. I mean, I think you're going to see the playbook open. And, not that they weren't trying to score before, but definitely trying to score right now.
Yeah, they definitely want that here in the second half. They don't want to end up losing the second half here to this point. Right now they're trailing in the second half 7-0, but they lead the game 49-7. 1st and 10 for the Mustangs at the 23. It's Luke Johansson in the gun for the injured Joe Dolenchek. We've got a whistle. Flag thrown. Do we have a delay of game maybe? I didn't see what the play clock was.
Well, it's got to be a delay of game when the back judge calls it.
It is a delay of game. The Mustangs with their second penalty on the day backs them up to the 18. Set up 1st and 15.
That is a penalty you don't see Morningside commit too often.
It's extremely rare. They were a little undisciplined up at Jamestown a couple of weeks ago, but they had that virtually fixed last week, and now a delay of game here with a freshman quarterback. 1st and 15, handoff up the middle. It's Bryson Freeberg. The left seam, he goes to the 25. Gain of 7 will set up 2nd and 8. Man, the discipline. Coach Ryan brings it up when we talk about, when it comes to motion or option offenses or things like that, but a discipline is something Morningside prides itself on, just in a general sense. 2nd down and 8 for the 25. Johansson play action, throws toward the tight end, Sione Tuifua, and coming over the top to almost bat it away was the linebacker, Victor Kinnish. It's incomplete. It's now 3rd and 8.
Well, I don't want to keep beating on a dead horse, but that ball was thrown late. That's an RPO, and he was very slow getting rid of the ball, and it allowed the defender to react to the route.
So 3rd and 8 for the Mustangs from their own 25-yard line. Tight end motions right. Johansson drops 3 steps to throw. Passes over the right seam. It is caught. Across the 35-yard line, it's a 1st down. It looks like it's Drew Sellin, and it is. Sellin, the true freshman, with his 2nd catch of the day. Up to the 37. It's a 1st down.
Now, that was a good ball. I mean, he threw to a receiver sitting in a window, and a receiver standing still, and he hit him right where he needed to hit him. And anytime you do that, you want to hit him on the outside shoulder, and that's exactly where he did it.
So good ball for Luke Johansson. It's 1st and 10 from the 37. 2 receivers left and 1 right. Johansson, 3-step drop out of the gun. He pump fake short. Flags get thrown all over the place. Johansson now runs to the 39-yard line and picks up 2 yards. They give him the 40 for the 3-yard gain, but I think that's all going to be for naught here as this flag will bring the play back, I presume.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be holding.
Yep.
It looks like it was obvious holding because there's 2 flags thrown.
Yeah, one I think hit Luke on his way up the middle.
I do think refs get together and say, now listen, if I throw a flag, you throw a flag too, because then it looks obvious.
There you go, exactly. Do you think they practice hitting the quarterback too when he's running up the middle? That's a great toss. Hit him right in the chest.
I will tell you that the last thing you want, if you're Morningside right now, the last thing you want to do is get him hit.
Exactly.
I mean, because right now you can't afford to lose him.
No, I mean, him running the ball is
Yes.
I'm sure Coach Ryan probably yelled at him and said, you run the ball again. It's not going to be pretty. 1st and 20 now following the holding penalty. 2nd penalty of the drive. Johansson drops to throw out of the gun. He passes over the left seam. Coming back to the football to make the catch is Drew Sellen, another true freshman. He gets those 10 yards back plus another. Set up 2nd down and 9.
I'll tell you what's impressive about that right there is how the receiver, he settled in the window. In other words, he kind of ran a curl route, so to speak, and he came back for the football. And that's a good receiver that does that.
2nd down and 9 for the Mustangs at the 38-yard line of Morningside. 7:45 remains in the third. 49-7 Mustangs. Johansson drops the throw. Pass over the middle. There's Josh Simmons across midfield into Tiger territory at the 49. Gave him the 48. It's a 1st down on the 14-yard completion.
They're saying he dropped the ball.
Oh, yeah, they are. It fell to the turf. I thought he brought it down. Instead, it's 3rd and 9 on the incompletion.
You know, I'm a little surprised Lennox Brown isn't playing a little bit more. I was impressed with him in the first half. He kind of looks like a big-bodied receiver.
Right.
You know he's a good athlete because he played quarterback in high school.
Yep.
And I really thought he looked pretty good in the first half.
Coach Ryan brought him up in the pregame as well about his performance against Mount Marty. 3rd down and 9, and a beautiful pass to Michael Payne. Comes back to the football, slides and makes the catch at the 48. That's a gain of 14. That time it's a catch and a 1st down for the Mustangs.
Well, try to notice the pattern, what's going on right here. They're throwing the ball vertically, but they're making very easy throws for him because they're throwing to receivers who are standing still. And, again, that's just good play calling by the Morningside staff. They're giving him balls that he can throw.
Bryson Freeberg gets 3 yards to the 45. Is that just more of a confidence booster for him, saying, look what you can do when you throw the football?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but you're trying to get him in a groove. You're trying to make things easy for him right now. And there's nothing easier than throwing to a guy standing still.
Right.
I mean, that's...
You know, you get little hitch routes or settle in the window like these ones are. 2nd and 7, a play action, screen pass. Drew Sellen makes the catch, makes the first guy miss, but can't make the second guy miss. At the 42-yard line, he goes down for a gain of 3. That'll set up 3rd down and 4.
Yeah, Morningside's in a 2-by-2 set, meaning 2 receivers both ways. And to the wide side of the field, they stacked the receivers, and they got them really wide out there. And so you're throwing the ball from the right hash all the way across the field. That's a long throw for the quarterback.
6:18 remains in the third quarter. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 49-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. It's 3rd and 4. Handoff up the middle. Bryson Freeberg gets stood up. He loses 2 yards back to the 44, and the Tigers force a 4th down and 6, and the Mustangs are bringing out the punting unit.
Look who's the first guy to talk to the quarterback coming off the field.
Absolutely. Joe Dolenchek meets him before he gets to the boundary. And he's trying to tell Luke, come over here to talk to me. But, of course, Coach Ryan wants to talk to him as well. I can't imagine how invaluable that conversation Luke is right now. He's got Joe Dolenchek right to his left. Coach Ryan is to his right. They're both trying to teach him something here. That's got to be the most valuable kind of talking to you can get as a football player.
Coach Ryan trumps Dolenchek to get to talk to him first, huh?
I don't know. Does Hall of Famer Trump Player of the Year? I don't know how that works.
Well, there's 2 words in front of Coach Ryan that matter. It's head coach.
Head coach, exactly. Yeah, until
if he was a quarterback coach, he might be talking to Dolenchek first. I guarantee.
Probably, yeah.
But
Well, there you go. Yeah, Coach Ryan's getting his time with Luke
Yeah.
Johansson. Meanwhile, Justin McElligott punts it at the 11-yard line. But once Coach Ryan's done talking to Luke, yeah, there he goes. He turns to Joe, and now Joe's teaching him some stuff as well. Once Coach Ryan had gotten his message across to Luke, Joe's giving him some pointers now. I mean, it's really cool. I don't even know what they're talking about, but it's really cool to watch the mentor teach the mentee there, as this pass over the middle is going to be incomplete, overthrown of Keel Nelson. We're going to get a flag on this one. Lionel Boyd Jr. hanging on for dear life. Didn't turn around to play the football. So a pass interference penalty will get the Tigers some breathing room and a first down to the 26.
Yeah, I think Boyd had his right arm, and the receiver went up with his left arm and tried to catch it with one hand, but I think it's because Boyd had his right arm tied down.
Okay, here's a question. If you're a receiver and you're getting held on one arm, do you try and exaggerate a little bit by going for the football with one arm to say, hey, look, referee, I can't even play this with two hands?
Well, the first thing I would say is
I'm not saying that wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
pass interference. That was,
Yeah.
but is that something they teach you?
The first thing they teach you is don't let the defender get their hands on you.
Sure.
I mean, because they're going to hold you. I
Right.
mean, that's just the nature of the beast. And
There's a handoff. 1st and 10. Aaron gets spun around by Josh Miller. He loses 2 to the 24. 2nd and 12 upcoming.
there's a lot of spinning going on down in there, and sometimes that's kind of a scary thing, because when you're spinning with all
You're
kinds
right.
of bodies around you, sometimes your bodies get distorted and bent over the wrong direction.
Well, that's how ankle twists, that's
Yep.
how knee twists, and all that, and legs break, and it's never a good sign when you see spinning around, especially in a pile like that. 2nd and 12. Austin Lee in the gun, 3 receivers left. He bootlegs left off the play action fake, throws toward the sideline, and throws wide of Keel Nelson and incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd down and a dozen.
Well, Dakota Wesleyan right there lined up in trips with the tight end to the trips to the left, tight end to the right, and then they trade the tight end to the trip side, so now they're in an unbalanced set, and they roll out to the trips. Well, the tight end's an ineligible receiver at that point, so he's there to help block the defensive end, and he didn't do a very good job because the defensive end was right in the quarterback's face.
Do want to also make note, Mason Williams has returned to the sideline. He's got some crutches down there sitting on the bench, and he's still on the sideline supporting his team. Again, we don't know the extent of his injury, something with his left leg, as we do have a stoppage of play and a timeout called on the field. With 4:33 left to play in the 3rd quarter, top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 49-7. We're back in 30 seconds with this Dakota Wesleyan timeout. You're listening to Mustang Football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. 4:33 remains in the 3rd quarter of the contest. The number 1 team in America, Morningside, leads Dakota Wesleyan 49-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. Tigers have a 3rd down and 12, called a timeout. Of course, if you're just tuning in, Mason Williams, starting center for the Mustangs, went down with an apparent leg injury. Joe Dolenchek left the game earlier on with an apparent hand injury. He's got his pointer and his middle finger on his right hand taped together, and so he is out of the contest for the time being. And, of course, we don't know the extent of his injury yet. 3rd and 12, Austin Lee takes a shot over the right seam and overthrows his target downfield. Jamin Aaron, the intended receiver. It's an incomplete pass. It's 4th and 12, and the Tigers will punt it away. It is 49-7 in favor of the number 1 team in the country. 4:27 left in quarter number 3. Coming up at the end of the contest will be our Long Lines post-game report. We'll get you stats and scores from around the Great Plains Athletic Conference, as well as a chat with Coach Steve Ryan. It's all coming up on our Long Lines post-game report, and we'll see if we can get you some kind of word about some of these injuries and see where they're at. This punt just barely gets away. Backing up, Michael Payne fumbles the kick at the 33-yard line. Trying to pick it up, he gets brought down and diving on the football at the 20-yard line to keep it alive is Morningside linebacker, cornerback, Logan Maycomer. He dives on the muff punt of the 20. And the Mustangs, they muffed 2 punts against Jamestown a couple of weeks ago. They muff a punt there, and that's not going to sit well with the special teams people.
Heck of a play by the Dakota Wesleyan punter. The snap was very high, and he went up high and got it and was able to get off a fairly decent punt.
I don't know how he got that one away. It looked like he was going to get blocked, but the Mustangs didn't quite get there. As Luke Johansson play action fakes, he throws toward the left numbers and couldn't find his target. Great coverage over the top from Landon Rusink. It was Lakin Harnley, the receiver out there. It's going to bring up 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, they tried to hit him on a deep out, and, again, the ball was thrown just a tad bit late, and that allows the corner to get to the ball.
As Johansson now empties the backfield. He's got 2 receivers either side, tight end motions left to right. That's Griffin Kraft. Now they motion KJ Williams in the backfield. Play action fake. Screen pass right side. Drew Selling gets a block right sideline. 25-30. 35. He gets run out of bounds by Jesus Herrera across the 35 to the 37. That's a 17-yard screen for Drew Selling and a 1st down for the Mustangs.
I actually thought that might be a touchdown because the receiver did a good job of knocking the corner outside, and the safety was really late in filling or triggering, as they say.
So 1st and 10 of the 37. We've got a whistle, stops play, and looks like a false start. 5-yard penalty will back the Mustangs up again. And it is false start. So Morningside commits their 3rd penalty of the day, or of the second half, I should say. That's their 4th penalty overall. 5th penalty for 40 yards on the day. Dakota Wesleyan has not been penalized since halftime. It's 1st and 15 for the Mustangs at their own 32-yard line. Empty look for Luke Johansson. 3 receivers left, 2 right. Johansson drops to throw, passes over the middle, and that one's hauled in. Lakin Harnley breaks a tackle, breaks another across the 40 to the 43-yard line. Good gain for Harnley. He gets 11, and it's 2nd down and 4.
See, that illegal procedure call could easily be the effects of a different quarterback and a different quarterback's cadence and rhythm to the cadence.
2nd down and 4 from the 43. As Johansson lines up with 2 receivers left, 1 right, fakes the give, drops to throw, passes over the middle and just threw it wide of Michael Payne. And incomplete. Jesus Herrera tried to jump the pass but couldn't do it quite. It'll be 3rd and 4.
You know, cadence is normally a multi-word, multi-number scenario, and whatever your second and third, whatever the last 2 words or numbers are, those 2 things have to be in the same rhythm every time, and that's the timing of the snap. And sometimes the second quarterback doesn't have the same rhythm.
3rd and 4. Johansson drops to throw, pass over the middle, leaping catch, and the J-back, Griffin Kraft from North Liberty, gets across midfield to the Tiger 46-yard line. It's a gain of 11 and a 1st down for the Mustangs.
That's a really nice catch. He runs a dig route, and he's in between the safeties, and the ball's thrown a little bit high. He does a good job of going up to get the ball, knowing he's going to get hit by the safety.
And that's a great way to get your first collegiate catch as a Mustang for Griffin Kraft. Handoff up the middle, KJ Williams. He powers his way and comes out the other side. 35-30, jukes a man, 25-20, breaks more tackles to the left numbers, and KJ Williams takes it all the way into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown. What a run by KJ Williams. He juked 3 defenders to the turf. And the Mustangs extend their lead. It's 55-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
That's a really good job by KJ at keeping his feet moving, because he was hit right at the line of scrimmage, and he just kept his feet moving and was able to break that tackle.
Goes for 46 yards. It's his longest rushing play, period, but obviously his longest rushing touchdown as a Mustang. And now the point after try upcoming here for Chase Carter. It's been the first time he's kicked a point after in a while, and he is none the worse for it. He's made 8 of 8 point after tries today. Morningside gets on the scoreboard, 56-7 in favor of the Mustangs, 2:25 in the 3rd. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City.
don't forget, fans, you're always looking for your game time photo.
And we welcome you back here to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City on the campus of Morningside University. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteg, bringing you the action from the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box. It's 56-7. Top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan. 2:25 remains in the third quarter. A 46-yard touchdown run for K.J. Williams, his second of his Mustang career. Extends Morningside's lead. This kickoff by Ben Steffens. It was fair caught at the 3-yard line. It was muffed at the 3 by Jamin Aaron. And then he picked up the ball at the 3. And so Dakota Wesleyan, I don't think, gets that out to the 25. He muffed the fair catch. Therefore, the Tigers have to start at the 3. Yes, they do.
Then it's got to be an inadvertent whistle.
Because, yeah, he should, well, yeah, he should have to return that then at that point. Now, why'd they blow it dead? The Tigers will start at their own 4-yard line after the fair catch was muffed. Therefore, they don't bring it out to the 25-yard line like you can normally on a fair catch inside the 25. The Tigers will start at the doorstep of their own end zone as Austin Lee lines up a yard deep. Motions it back there. Play action fake. Drops deeper into the end zone. Throws it out over the middle. Leaping try by Keel Nelson. He couldn't bring it in. It's an incomplete pass across the 40. It was Amos Rasmussen, the freshman, on the coverage. Bring up 2nd down and 10.
It's really good coverage by the freshman corner, but again, if you're looking at it through the eyes of Dakota Wesleyan, you just say that's a play we got to make. I mean, it's a post route. If the ball hit him right in the hands, I mean, he did a really nice job of going up and getting the ball at the high point, as we say, but he's got to catch that ball.
Yeah, Amos Rasmussen, the 5'8" freshman from Irwin, Iowa, on that coverage. 2nd and 10. Handoff left side. Garrett Mandolfa powers his way across the 5 and finally gets wrestled down to the 9-yard line. It's a pickup of 5 to set up 3rd and 5.
Well, there's that time when Wesleyan again put trips to the right with the tight end to the left, and then they trade the tight end to the right, so they're in an unbalanced line to the right. And if you notice, Morningside didn't move a person.
No.
And and thus when Dakota Wesleyan ran back to the weak side, they're running back into numbers, and you're better off running to the unbalanced side at that point.
Minute 45 left in the third. Morningside 56. Dakota Wesleyan 7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. Tigers with 3rd and 5 from the 9. They lob it up to the sideline, and Austin Lee can't quite find Cole Holden. It's an incomplete pass over the 20. That'll set up 4th down and 5 for Dakota Wesleyan, and at their own end zone, they're forced to kind of kick it away here.
With Morningside's defensive alignment, they're outside linebackers, and in that case, it was Brody Nelson, number 34. The corner plays inside leverage, and the linebacker is there so that if the receiver runs an out route, he has to throw the ball over the linebacker, and thus he had to throw the ball over Brody at that time. And I mean, it just makes it almost a difficult pass to make.
Yeah, you got to drop it into the breadbasket there, so to speak. That's a great right-footed spiraling kick. Michael Payne comes up to fair catch it at the 40-yard line, and there you go again with Morningside being able to catch punts. Instead of letting that bounce and probably get back into your own territory, Morningside's going to start at the Dakota Wesleyan 40, all because Michael Payne hustled out there to fair catch the football.
And he fair catches the ball. That's the secret to it. I mean, fair catch it. Yeah. Now we got the ball on the 40 instead of the 50 or the other 40, whatever the case is.
Morningside will try and see if Luke Johansson can facilitate another drive that gets them 6. K.J. Williams had a long 46-yard touchdown run on the last drive. Here's how they try and finish out the third quarter. Out of the gun is Johansson. 3 receivers left and 1 right. He takes a chest-high snap and a 5-step drop. They dump it off into the flats. K.J. Williams has a convoy up the left seam. 35-30, 25, middle of the field. He gets dragged down to the 23-yard line. A gain of 17 for Williams on the screen. It's a 1st down.
That's a screen that some people call a slip screen to the tailback. At East, we call that Uno screen, and it's a really, really good play, especially if you catch the defense in a blitz. If you catch them in a blitz and catch them in man coverage, all you got to do is block the guy who has the running back, and you're off and running.
Morningside with a 1st and 10 now to the Dakota Wesleyan 23-yard line. 50 seconds remaining, quarter number 3. Taking that play clock down to about 6 or 5 seconds now. Johansson in the gun, 2 receivers right with 2 on the play clock. Helmet high snap, handoff, right side. KJ Williams finds a bit of a hole, gets to the 21-yard line before getting driven backwards by 3 Tigers on the play. It's a gain of 2, sets up 2nd and 8.
You know, we talked about KJ during the break, and you know, he was hurt early in the season, and he's just kind of getting back into form right now, getting back into football shape, as we say. And I think he's got some potential as a running back. He's got some explosiveness that comes in handy.
He's listed as a junior, so we hopefully have at least 1 more year, if not maybe 2, depending on how the eligibility works. But the Mustangs will take this into quarter number 4. They're going to have a 2nd down and 8 near the red zone to start the 4th quarter. Morningside 56, Dakota Wesleyan 7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. Back in 1 minute with the 4th quarter on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Verstag. Start of quarter number 4, we're the number 1 team in the country. Your Mustangs lead Dakota Wesleyan 56-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. It's 2nd down and 8 for the Mustangs from the Tiger 21-yard line. Out of the pistol is Luke Johansson. Now he goes up under center. Motions at tight end, left to right. Single back look under center. Johansson, play action, deep drop. Passes over the middle. Leaping try. Drew Sellen brings it in the back of the end zone for a Mustang touchdown. And welcome to college football. Drew Sellen, his first touchdown as a Mustang, puts Morningside up 62-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
That's an impressive play by the quarterback right there, because I guarantee you during the quarter break, they were talking, and I'm sure the conversation went something like this. Okay, we're going to run play A, whatever play A is. But on play A, you look for this guy and then that guy. Well, a lot of times when you tell a quarterback to look for this guy, the ball goes to that guy. And what he did was he got to his second read there, and the second read was the guy who caught the touchdown pass. And that's impressive by the quarterback right there.
That's a great thing to see if you're Coach Ryan and the Mustangs after throwing Luke into this kind of scenario. And then Chase Carter boots through a point after try. 14:54 remains in the contest. Morningside scores a touchdown on the first play of the 4th quarter. They lead 63-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City.
Tickets also available for Christmas at Morningside, your favorite holiday tradition, Thursday, December 1st and Friday, December 2nd at the auditorium at 7:30 p.m. Remember, Christmas at Morningside is a ticketed but free event.
And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City alongside Bob Goodvin up in the booth. I'm Daniel Verstag. Early on in quarter number 4, top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 63-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. The 4th quarter starts in a big way for the Mustangs. A Luke Johansson touchdown pass to Drew Sellen, 21 yards out, puts the Mustangs up 56 points. Chase Carter in for the kickoff. No, I think that's Ben Steffens, excuse me. And that kick ends at the end zone for a touchback. It's a live football. They're all diving for it. And we got a touchback for Dakota Wesleyan. Not sure why they let that stay live, but the Tigers are going to get it out to the 25-yard line. And the Tiger coaches are coming out probably wanting an explanation. Maybe no, they're just pointing over to the right hash. They want it at the 25 on the right hash. What's the rule on that, Bob?
Well, as soon as the ball goes in the end zone in today's world, it's an automatic touchback.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But they let that one stick around. That ball was sitting inside in the end zone, and they just let it keep going. But well, that's the same result. Dakota Wesleyan started their own 25-yard line here on their first drive of quarter number 4. Now we've got a whistle, stops play. They're going to reset the play clock that had gotten down to 2 before Dakota Wesleyan could even get set. Now we're ready to go. 1st and 10. 3 receivers line up left. Motion one of them to the right side. Austin Lee out of the gun, fakes the give, drops the throw, passes behind Nikhil Nelson on the crossing route over the middle, incomplete. Now to bring up 2nd down and 10. Morningside is well on their way to their 8th consecutive victory, 22nd in a row. They'll be home again next week, so it'll be the final game of the regular season at home for the Mustangs next week. They'll host Doane, and then they'll be at Concordia 2 weeks from today. And the playoffs start 3 weeks from today. We hope, of course, that first game is right here at Elwood Olson Stadium. It should be. 2nd down and 10 for the Tigers at their own 25-yard line. Austin Lee in the gun. He takes the snap. Gives around the left side. That is Jamin Aaron getting his way back to the line of scrimmage, but no further. No gain on the play. Sets up 3rd and 10. Coming up in the post-game coverage, we'll have our Long Lines post-game report. We'll have stats and scores around the Great Plains Athletic Conference, as well as a chat with the head football coach of Morningside University. That's Coach Steve Ryan. We'll get his thoughts on the contest and see just kind of where they go from here with Joe and what the status of him is. It's kind of been a rough game, all things considered, for Morningside as far as injuries are concerned, and we'll see what kind of news we can get from there. 3rd down and 10 from the 25-yard line for the Tigers. As Austin Lee drops the throw, dumps it off into the flats. The tight end has that play get blown up. Catch was made by Jacob Oxos, but a great stop by Caden Oxendorf to blow it up for a loss of 3. It'll be 4th and 13 back to the 22.
That's actually a pretty well-designed play by Wesleyan. They lined the fullback up in a set behind their left tackle, which offset the Morningside middle linebacker, and then they motioned him out of the backfield the other way, and the linebacker chased him. And they ran that Uno screen to the tailback, and boy, if the defensive line doesn't make the play, it might have went.
Right-footed, end-over-end kick. It might have gotten deflected, but it's going to take a nice bounce across midfield into Mustang territory at the 42, where the Tigers down it on the far side of the field. Mustang offense will take the field once again. Now, we did see Cale Bird warming up with Luke Johansson. He's in the middle of the huddle right now, and we are going to get the 3rd-string Mustang quarterback to take the field for Morningside. That is going to be the sophomore quarterback, Cale Bird, out of Bennington, Iowa, who's going to get his first varsity snaps as a Mustang. We saw him in the spring game a little bit back in April, but this will be his first time as the quarterback for Morningside. 1st and 10 of the 42. Bird, the handoff up the middle. It's Bryson Freeberg who gets spun around and brought down for no gain. Sets up 2nd and 10.
Well, I'm going to ask a stupid question. Won't be my first one or last, but where's Bennington, Iowa?
Oh.
Come on, Daniel.
I don't think I know that. I think it actually that might be Bennington, Nebraska.
Yeah, okay.
I think that might be.
Yeah.
It's a typo on the roster.
Yeah, okay.
That would have to be it. Because I was trying to think about that too. It's got to be a typo on the roster. 2nd down and 10 of the 42-yard line. Twins stacked on either side. Bird hands off up the middle. That's Bryson Freeberg again to the 44. 2-yard pickup will bring up 3rd and 8.
So Morningside's got 3 quarterbacks from the Omaha area, the greater Omaha area.
Yeah, I guess so.
Bellevue and Bellevue and now Bennington.
And Bennington, yeah. No, absolutely. Yes, it is. Bennington, Nebraska. Just confirmed that with the online roster that does not have the typo.
Is that Bennington High School or is
Bennington High? Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I know they played South Sioux before.
Okay.
I think they've been in that. They've been in the same district as the Cardinals before. It's been a while, but I know they've been on that schedule before. It's 3rd down and 8 for the Mustangs. Cale Bird Again, the Bennington product with 3 receivers left and 1 right. Takes a chest-high snap. 3-step drop, stands up in the pocket, has all kinds of time, and he rolls right, directs traffic. He's going to run, across the 45 to midfield. Cale Bird gets knocked out of bounds right at midfield, short of the sticks. It's going to bring up 4th down and 2 for the Mustangs. Yeah, well, I remember I was here for the spring game. And Bird showed some flashes of mobility, so I wonder if that's kind of what his game is predicated on here as a Mustang quarterback. But the Mustangs will bring out the punt unit as they go 3 and out under Bird. And Bird now goes over to the sideline. He gets a talking to from Joe Dolinchek, the reigning NAIA Player of the Year. Of course, those 3 are always out in warm-ups at the same time, getting their arm loose, getting their leg loose in the case of today, practicing punts. Here's Justin McElligott, speaking of punts. Fair catch is signaled for, bounce at the 11. The Mustangs get it down to the goal line, but they couldn't keep it out of the end zone. It's a touchback for the Mustangs. 2 players went after that football. Jacob Murphy, the long snapper, got down there, and Caden Oxendorf both trying to keep it out of the end zone, but they couldn't. And so the Tigers will get out to the 20. With 11:10 remaining in regulation, top-ranked Morningside leads Dakota Wesleyan 63-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. A reminder for Mustang Athletics fans, 45 minutes away from the tip-off of the Mustang men's basketball season. Down in Peru, Nebraska, they take on Peru State College. Best of luck to the Mustangs, Coach Trent Miller and the crew. Sounds like it's going to be a great year for Morningside. They reload with a lot of firepower. Of course, losing Trey Brown and Zach Imming is going to be tricky, but they've got some guys willing to step up. Going to be smaller, but we'll see how that plays in the GPAC. We're going to get a false start here on Dakota Wesleyan. And it looks like that'll back things up to 1st and 15. See what the official call is. Oh, it's offsides. Excuse me. Morningside jumped. The offsides penalty will set up 1st and 5 up to the 25. Well, so, penalties are kind of rearing their head here today, Bob. It's not the day you want from a discipline standpoint. As the Tigers line up with 1st and 5 from the 25. Looks like Isaac Robinson is in. He hands it off around the right side, and Garrett Mandolfa gets tripped up, dives forward to the 28, pickup of 3, sets up 2nd and 2. Isaac Robinson, the freshman from Fountain, Colorado, 5'11", 189 pounds. This is, I believe, his first snaps as a Dakota Wesleyan quarterback. Doesn't have any passing numbers. And so we're going to see all kinds of new faces in this contest. 2nd and 2 for the Tigers at the 28. Robinson lines up in the pistol. 2 tight ends left. No motion, 1 right. Robinson takes the bell-high snap, handoff up the middle. There's Garrett Mandolfa again, trying to run east-west, and he gets across the 30 to the 32-yard line. A hard pickup of 4 for Mandolfa. It's a 1st down.
You're really seeing some exotic backfield sets by Dakota Wesleyan right there. I mean, they lined up. The best way to explain it would be a double wing to the left side, and then one of the guys motions out, and now they're in what's called the diamond, and they just end up running a simple little inside zone. But it's a exotic look to a simple play.
It's very, it's not something you see very often, especially in a college game. Handoff Mandolfa. He gets a big hole across the 35, breaking a tackle across the 40. And he's got a 1st down on the 43. Gain of 11 for Garrett Mandolfa. And the Tigers move the chains.
Well, I think what you're saying there is you see that stuff in high school football.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Yep.
I mean, that first backfield set was something you would see in a high school, I don't mean this in a negative way, but a smaller high school set.
Yep. That looks like something, not exactly, but it looks kind of similar to like a Wesleyan backfield. I know Coach Roseboom runs some of that stuff up there in Inwood, and now they're going on to the quarterfinals, so there's a reason it works. 1st and 10 of the 43-yard line for Dakota Wesleyan. 2 receivers right. Fake handoff, keep it around the left side. That is Robinson, who tripped and fell down to the 44. Good stop in the open field. Gain of a yard will bring up 2nd and 9. And a big congratulations to all of the Northwest Iowa high school football programs moving on to the quarterfinal. And Southeastern South Dakota. Can't forget about Elk Point Jefferson moving on in the South Dakota playoffs. Good job by Coach Terry and the Huskies moving on in the playoffs. Quarterfinal round is next week in Iowa, though. We got West Sioux, Western Christian. The Lyon County schools are moving on. Hartley, Melvin, Sanborn, and Woodbury Central. There's going to be some great games around Northwest Iowa. Remsen, St. Mary's. Newell Fonda moved on. Some good high school football last night. As a 4-yard gain, we'll set up 3rd and 5. 8:27 remains in regulation. Morningside 63, Dakota Wesleyan 70 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. The Tigers with a 1-8 record, and again, the game we're seeing here tonight is not going to really dictate how the Tiger season has gone. The Tigers have lost 5 games by 10 or fewer points. They opened the season with a 10-point loss, followed it up with a 4-point loss, took some beatings to Northwestern and Dordt, and Hastings for that matter, but then got right back into it with Concordia, Doane, win against Briar Cliff, and then lost to Midland last week. Dropping to throw is Robinson. He dumps it off over the middle and getting 2 yards on the completion as Maxwell Robb, the tight end, is going to set up 4th and 3.
Well, I think you're seeing the formula for why Dakota Wesleyan's played such close games, and that's in the second half. They've had some success running the ball, and a little bit of success throwing the ball in underneath and the medium routes. And by doing that, 1, you get first downs, but 2, you slow the game down. And
right.
I mean, it's very hard to score when you don't have the ball, and if you're controlling the ball just a little bit, I mean, you're not driving 80 yards for touchdowns, but you are eating 5-6 minutes off the clock each time. So
Drew Sellen is out here to return this punt. High snap, and right before that snap, a timeout was called by Dakota Wesleyan head coach Ross Simple.
How about the play by the punter?
That was a great play. That was Keel Nelson who was back there to punt. Man, he can kind of do it all. The timeout called by the Tigers. We'll take one as well. Morning setup 63-7, back in 30 seconds on Fox Sports Radio 620. KMNS, Sioux City. And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg up in the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box. Our score was 7:08 remaining in regulation is top-ranked Morningside 63, Dakota Wesleyan 7. Keel Nelson's out there to boot this one away. Drew Sellen is back to return it. Nelson takes a snap, right-footed, spiraling kick. It's a good one. This one bounced inside the 20. It rolls up the middle of the field across the 10. And that one dies down at the 6-yard line. Keel Nelson with a great punt. The Mustangs will start from their own 6-yard line, and we're going to see Cale Bird once again, the third-string sophomore quarterback for the Mustangs. So we've gotten to see Luke Johansson. They've evidently seen enough of him, and now Cale Bird is out there for Morningside. As they're going to bring out KJ Williams, the running back. They got a bunch of new faces out there for Morningside. A 1st and 10 for the Mustangs for their own 6-yard line. Cale Bird lines up in the gun, takes the snap, gives to Williams. Around the left side, he's got a hole. Left sideline, 15-20. Breaks free to the 30, to the 40. Midfield, he's got one guy chasing him right side to the 10, to the 5. Pylon, and he's in. Touchdown Mustangs, KJ Williams for 94 yards. And the Mustangs lead Dakota Wesleyan 69-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Well, that's got to be in the top 5 of longest runs in Morningside history right there.
You read my mind. I was just about to pull that up here, see where it ranks.
They don't get much longer.
No, well, we have had 99-yard runs at Morningside.
We have?
We have, yep. AP Ponder had one, and there was one a long time ago as well. But it is a 94-yard run for KJ Williams. That is the 3rd longest run in the history of Morningside football, behind 2 99-yarders. Chase Carter with a point after try, and the Mustangs have put up a 70 spot for the 3rd time in in the last 4 games. 70-7, Morningside leads. 6:42 remains in regulation. Back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. KJ Williams breaks off the 3rd longest run from scrimmage in the history of the Mustang football program. 94 yards to the house, and the Mustangs lead Dakota Wesleyan 70-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. He's short of just 2 99-yard runs. AP Ponder had one against Dort in 2019, and Brian Ludwig's a 99-yard touchdown run against Augustana in 1979. Jamin Aaron takes this return out from the 2 to the left. Numbers 20, 25, 30. He's got a couple of guys to beat across the 35 to the 40. And Ben Steffens, the kicker, runs him out of bounds across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Dakota Wesleyan will start with some solid field position. The Morningside has put up 70 points in 3 of the last 4 games. They scored 70 at home against Hastings 3 weeks ago, 59 against Jamestown 2 weeks ago, and 77 last week against Mount Marty. They're on a nice roll here offensively, but of course they still got the attention of how is Joe Dolenchek doing? He seems to be in good spirits down there on the sideline. Of course, his right hand has 2 fingers taped together at the moment, and so we'll have to see how he's doing. And, of course, we want to figure out how Mason Williams is doing. He's hobbling around on crutches right now. Garrett Mandolfo, right side running, stiff arm across the 45, and a great trip up made by Ben Jelsvig at the 47-yard line, a gain of 6. That'll bring up 2nd and 4.
Another good open field tackle, because if he doesn't make that tackle, he might have been scoring.
Right. And there was not a whole lot on the outside to stop Mandolfo on that carry. Morningside's up 70-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 2nd down and 4 for the Tigers from their own 47-yard line. Dakota Wesleyan, they'll be at home next week against Mount Marty, and then their season comes to an end early. Their bye week is the last week of the regular season, but that's probably okay with Coach Simple and the crew having a really tough season. 2-yard gain on this carry by Mandolfo to the 49. It's going to set up 3rd down and 2.
So in reality, you don't have a bye.
Yeah, you don't have a bye. Yeah, your season just ends early.
That's, in a lot of ways, that's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
I don't know how you cannot schedule that differently.
Well, at that point, you would have to have, well, because you have an odd number team in the conference, everybody's got to have 1 bye.
Couldn't 2 teams have a bye on the same weekend?
Well, then it'd have to be 3 byes then. Because if 2 teams have a bye, you're left with 9
Yeah,
teams.
you're right. One team would have 2 byes.
Yeah,
you're right.
Here's 3rd down and 2 at the 49. Handoff around the left side, Mandolfo. Across midfield, gets to the 49-yard line. Pickup of 2, and they are going to give him, well, they should probably give him a 1st down there with that spot. It's a really good spot for that. And, nope, they're going to call it 4th down and short. Man, that is so close. Oh, they're going to have to bring the sticks out to measure here. Wow, that is a very tough spot of the football.
It's about 4th down and extra cheese on your pizza is about what that is.
I mean, that tip of the football has to be touching that hash. It's a 1st down
because he moved the ball ahead.
He's got a 1st down. The center's got a 1st down already. Here's a handoff. There's a 1st down for sure. My goodness. Carson Gall on that carry to the 47. It's a 1st down. If you're wondering why we're laughing, obviously you have the spot of the football, and then the center moves it up forward as he gets ready for his shotgun snap. Well, in moving the football forward, he gave them a 1st down, basically. Oh, man. Thank goodness this is a 63-point ball game, because I think the Tiger fans would be livid with that call if it wasn't, such a lopsided affair by this point. The Tigers keep the football moving. It's a first down with 4 minutes left in regulation. Again, the Tigers host Mount Marty next week, and then they end their regular season early and don't play Week 11. And that's a really tough schedule, too, because you've got 11 games in 11 weeks. We're going to have a whistle stop in this play. The Tigers played Week 0 against Dakota State on a Thursday night. So you got at least 9 days of a break before you played conference action against Jamestown. But outside of that, you didn't get a bye. Like you said, you don't get a bye. You just play 11 games in 11 weeks, and tough luck. You just got to deal with it. Unfortunately, there's no way around it with 11 teams in the league. You're going to have to, like Mount Marty didn't play Week 1 of the conference schedule, so you got to, it just kind of happens that way. This carry goes around the right side to the 48 after a 5-yard penalty on the Tigers. Mandolfa brings up second down and 11.
When it would be to your advantage, perhaps, to have a bye the last week of the year is if you're a playoff team.
Right. Yeah, if Morningside had that bye there.
Yep. I mean, you can look at that as an advantage there.
It would be.
You could also say maybe you want to play that week, though, too. I mean,
right. Yeah, do you want to,
you take 2 weeks off before a playoff game.
Accumulate some rust right before the playoffs? Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot that could go into that as Mandolfa picks up 4 yards to the 44. Third down and 7 upcoming. That's why we leave all of that to Mr. Westra. He takes care of that, or somebody in the football officiating officials higher up office takes care of that. I can't imagine trying to put together that schedule and just knowing no matter how you put the schedule together, somebody's going to have some complaints, whether it's, I don't like where my bye is, or why do we have to play, Northwestern in Week 2 or whatever. I mean,
or travel.
Yeah, travel,
yep.
Exactly. Now, nobody's going to be happy with the conference schedule. 3rd and 7, Mandolfa around the left side and gets up the left seam. Good positive yardage, falling forward to the 41, brings up 4th and 4.
I wonder if Jamestown ever complains about travel.
Well, if they do, I would say they don't have a leg to stand on, because they came to us to join the conference. That'd be what I would say. You knew what you were signing up for.
How long a drive would it be from Jamestown to Hastings? Or probably Doane would Doane be further away?
It's Doane, Concordia, and Hastings are all kind of about the same distance. It's about 8.5 hours one way. And you don't have an interstate through the Dakotas to drive down, so it's all, state highways, county roads, and all that kind of stuff.
It doesn't take the Buffalo Bills that long to fly to San Diego.
Right. Yeah, at that point you want to talk about getting a flight.
Are they in the same time zone? I'm joking.
It's close. We do have a timeout on the field. We'll take a break as well. Back in 30 seconds on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City following the Dakota Wesleyan timeout. Alongside Bob Goodman, I'm Daniel Versteg. Minute 34 remains in regulation, getting close to our Long Lines post-game report, in which we will bring you stats and scores around the GPAC and also a chat with the head coach of the Mustang football team in Coach Steve Ryan. Minute 34 left of the game, 70-7. Mustangs on top. Dakota Wesleyan with the football. 4th and 4 from the 41. Handoff right side. Mandolfa breaks 3 across the 40, 35-30, 25-20. Right seam to the 5 and all the way into the end zone goes Garrett Mandolfa for a Dakota Wesleyan touchdown. Mandolfa's first score of the season, and it gets the Tigers into double digits. 70-13 the score on the People's Bank scoreboard. That's a great run. That's the score could be 150-0 or 150-3, let's say. And Casey Jacobson's defense gives a touchdown up, and he's still going to look at them like they just gave up the game-winning score of the national championship game. That's how serious this Mustang coaching staff takes these games, as a point after try through the uprights and good. And it's why they have been so successful year in and year out. 70-14, Morningside on top, minute 26 in regulation. We'll take another short break. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We'll keep it here. Morningside on top, 70-14 over Dakota Wesleyan here on the People's Bank scoreboard with a minute 26 left in regulation. Again, coming up in our Long Lines post-game report, the Mustangs coach Steve Ryan talk with us. We'll get his word on what he thought of today. I'm sure it's going to be kind of a mixed kind of feeling on how today went, of course, with the injuries. Now, he probably knows the extent to which Joe's injury is, or his finger tweak, whatever we want to call it here. But, of course, you lose Mason Williams. He's down with a knee injury. He's been hobbling around on crutches, and that's never a good sign. And so you got to replace some pieces on an offensive line that's already kind of dealt with some injuries throughout the year. It's sure going to be a little bit of mixed emotions, but Coach Ryan got a chance to bring his third-string quarterback into the contest and see what he can do. Dakota Wesleyan now kicks this one off, and on the return is Drew Sellin. He takes it from the 19, left sideline 35, and he's pushed out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. And Morningside will just have to run a couple of plays here, maybe just a few kneel downs, and they can seal off their 22nd consecutive win. Mustangs on top 70-14 here late in the contest.
You know, you got to kind of wonder if Dalenchek didn't dislocate a finger. I mean, just by the way he was holding his hand, and they got him over here and they did some things to him, and I wonder if they just didn't pop it back in place.
And now they're just kind of, they tape it together
to
keep it
support
stable.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Here's a handoff up the middle, and that can't be Brody Nelson. It is number 34. Might be Drew Benson. I think it is Drew Benson, the West High product, freshman. One of the better running backs in 5A football last year. Drew Benson picks up a carry there for Morningside as they wind out the clock on another win. Drew Benson was a stellar athlete at West High. Basketball, baseball. I think he maybe did some track as well for the Wolverines. Outstanding player for a Mustang alum in Brandon Holmes. Out of the pistol is Cale Bird. 2nd and 10, hands it off to Benson once again. Gets stopped behind the line of scrimmage for a loss, and that's going to be your ball game. The game clock is less than the play clock, and for the 22nd consecutive game, your Mustangs are a winner. 70-14, the final score here from Elwood Olson Stadium. The top-ranked team in America improves to 8-0. Dakota Wesleyan, and their tough season just continues to get tougher. They'll fall to 1-9 and 1-8. In GPAC play, almost guaranteeing potentially a last-place finish. Tigers will host Mount Marty next week. Morningside hosts Doane to finish up the home regular season schedule. But our final score here from Elwood Olson Stadium, top-ranked Morningside 70, Dakota Wesleyan 14. We'll take a break. When we come back, our Long Lines post-game report, we'll have the head coach of the Mustang football team, Steve Ryan, join us, and then we will break down the action for you, get some scores from around the conference as well. It's all coming up on our Long Lines post-game report. We're back after this here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City.